Hey everyone, welcome back to the Keep Watching podcast, where we decide what to watch so you don't have to. I'm Sarah.
And I'm James.
And today we're going to be talking about Cobra Kai. So James, how's your week been?
Pretty good. My wife and I and my son, we got together with our friends who recommended Heart Signal to us way back in the day.
Oh yeah?
They told me about a new Korean dating show
Ooh.
that they've been watching. Now it's either called Transit Love or Transfer Love, depending, I guess, on whatever translation.
Okay.
I did find it, but it's not on like a easy site. But the concept of this is like there's a bunch of ex couples that are casted, but they like can't reveal to the group like who their ex couple is, like who their ex is. I don't know if like they know that everybody has an ex there. I don't know. I don't know all those details. But I guess it's like a test to see like, oh, will you be with somebody new, or will you just like get back together with your ex when you realize like everybody else is worse than them or something? I don't know. I don't know what the point of it is.
Or it could be you remember what was great about them, maybe there's
that's
too.
True. I actually feel like there might be an American version of this that also released somewhat recently.
Oh, really?
But with like a little bit of a different twist. I'm not sure. It might be there might be like it might be even be on Netflix. I forget though. But that's not even the interesting part of this.
Okay.
What also came up is that apparently, I guess specifically on this show, the contestants or the cast did this, but like our friend was claiming that like in Korea right now, the new hot thing is to ask people what their MBTI personality is.
Oh yeah, that's super.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you could confirm that.
I mean, maybe like we might be even on the tail end of it. Like it's been popular for a little while now.
Oh, okay. Well, the show is from 2021, so.
Oh yeah, peak asking people that, yeah.
Because the show, like all these other dating shows, like they're not allowed to talk about their age and occupation in the beginning.
Oh, so they choose to talk about this instead?
Yeah, it's like almost like a hack to be like, oh, what's your Myers-Briggs personality score? Like, I don't know. I guess it's not really a hack. It actually just might be like somewhat useful. Like, I guess if you were making like a dating profile, it actually might be useful to put your Myers-Briggs, even if you're not like a big believer in the Myers-Briggs
I am not
test.
like it's I don't know. It seems suspicious to me. It all really relies on how self-aware you are and how honest you are when you answer questions. And also, I don't know, feels like nonsense most of the time, but it's kind of a fun quiz to take anyway.
Yeah. I feel like it could be better than just like, putting your hobbies on a profile though, or I don't know. I guess you could like elaborate in words in a way that could indicate your Myers-Briggs letters, but just putting your Myers-Briggs letters is like the quickest way to give some semblance of who you might be as a person, I guess. I don't know.
I guess that's true.
It's not terrible for a dating situation, I feel like.
Yeah, I guess it depends if you actually like think your results are accurate too.
Yeah, that's a big one. Do you remember your Myers-Briggs?
I always forget it. Well, I know it starts with I, yeah, because introverted.
Yeah, do you want to? I was thinking this could be a fun way for the listeners to get to know us better. Is if we tell them what our Myers-Briggs is.
I want to say I'm INFJ.
That sounds right.
I think that's what it is.
That does sound right for you. Let me look it up real fast, actually. not my thing, but like what the letters are, because I
think mine might waffle. Sometimes I might be a P at the end instead of a J. It depends on the times I've taken it, and this does not count the one time I took it for work, and I took it with my corporate appropriate personality, which was an entirely different set of letters altogether.
So I think I'm with you on the first two. IN.
Uh-huh.
I think I used to be a T, which is thinking versus feeling.
Mm-hmm.
But now I feel like I'm really like 50-50 on that.
Yeah.
And then I don't really remember the fourth one.
What it's judging or perceiving, I think, is the...
Yeah, I want to say I'm a P, but I might be going towards a J on that one.
Okay.
But yeah, if people know what this test is, take what you want. That's us.
Maybe you feel like you know us better now.
In 4 letters, that's how you could describe yourself.
I like it.
Oh, but the other thing that came up when we were with our friends is that they're from China.
Okay.
So, and they have a 1.5-year-old, and so they have a bunch of toys, but like a lot of the toys are like they have English words on them and Chinese words on them.
Okay, cool.
And then they had a world map. It was a toy world map, but it was in all Chinese.
Hmm.
And all the continents were like flipped around.
Oh yeah, because like they put like China in the middle, right? Like
Yeah.
yeah, depending on who makes it, yeah.
Yeah. I never thought about it before.
I mean, think about it this way: you could flip it upside down, and it's still an accurate map, but we never
Well,
do that
yeah,
either.
nobody does that. Because then I mentioned it and they were like, "Oh, that's the map I grew up with." Like it
Hmm.
didn't occur to them that a map would be the other way either.
Yeah.
But then when we were like, I showed them the American version of the map, they were like, "That kind of actually makes sense because like you refer to America as like the West."
Oh yeah.
But yeah, those were the interesting things that came up in my week.
Nice.
What about you, Sarah?
My week has been really relaxed because I decided to take the week off from work and just do whatever felt right at any given time. Like I don't have plans. I'm just like hanging out, doing a little painting, doing whatever, a lot of naps. Naps are
Oh,
good.
you've been off all day. Oh, this week.
Yeah. So we're only like 2 days into
You're two
my
days into it. Okay,
week
gotcha.
off, but like I've started this mindset since like Friday at 4:30. So
Oh, gotcha.
we're a little lucky. I remember today was Tuesday, but I actually watched a sports documentary.
Oh.
It is the sports documentary about Manti Te'o, the boy that got catfished. So, yeah, I didn't watch it for sports reasons. I just thought it was interesting to
Oh.
see the first boy who was like publicly catfished.
I guess I kind of remember that story. He's is he still in the NFL?
Excellent question. I don't know sports things.
I think he was drafted by the Chargers.
I do know that. Went to the Chargers. Second round draft pick. Look at me
Linebacker? Oh,
knowing
I'm on
sports
I'm up
things.
all up on this.
But yeah, it's an interesting documentary.
Oh, he didn't play last year. Yeah, he might not be in the league anymore.
Seems like he had a real rough time. It's unfortunate, but I don't know. It was an
Do you
interesting
want to
documentary.
spill what it's about, or
Well, I
are
mean,
you just recommending it?
he got catfished.
Oh well, there's a lot of different ways to get catfish. Like what?
Oh well, somebody pretended to be a woman they were not. It turns out actually they now identify as a trans woman. So like they were going through some stuff trying to figure out who she is and whatever. And so there's like an understandable aspect from that, and anything that's got queer stuff in it, I'm all about.
Hmm.
But yeah, she then like things got way out of hand, and in order to avoid meeting up, she was like, "Oh no, I'm dead," and that was a rough time for him. And also, his grandma died the same day, so like he had a really rough time. And then that was
Hmm.
all very public. And then at some point, some think it was Deadspin or something like figured it out that this girl never existed, and then the story broke, and then his life got worse, and it sucked. But he seems like he was doing better by the end of his part of the documentary. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, I kind of remember the story, but definitely like it was just like a side thing on like the sports news that
mm.
it was going on. I did not know all the details, so that does sound interesting.
But yeah, I like to throw on a documentary when I like paint or something, and Netflix was like, "Here, look at this sports boy who had a bad time," and I was like, "Okay."
Oh, okay. Well, I'm surprised you brought up a documentary because I I might be recommending it a documentary
Oh,
for next episode, but I'll wait till we get
fascinating!
there.
I cannot wait.
Okay.
The other thing I watched was today. I watched the first two episodes of The Patient, which just came out on Hulu, where General Hux from the new Star Wars, he plays a serial killer who kidnaps Steve Carell, who is his therapist, so he can get proper therapy because he can't be honest without going to jail in normal therapy. And it seems like Steve Carell's going to have a real bad time, but it was pretty interesting. So this is my spooky rec for the week, I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
Because it does not seem like the vibe of something we normally talk about, but it seemed pretty interesting.
I could maybe watch this. Is there anything gross in it?
So far, no.
Okay. It just listed as drama mystery thriller, but it is TVMA, so you never know.
Yeah, so far, nothing gross has happened. Mostly Steve Carell is chained up in a basement and sad about it. But yeah,
Okay.
I'm again, like, I shouldn't be surprised because, like, I've seen Steve Carell in, like, serious things in the past where he's done real well, but he is good at, like, serious stuff.
Yeah, for sure he is.
Big divergence from The Office where
The
he spent a lot of
classic, yeah.
days being silly. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was pretty good too. And that's mostly been my week. It's just been real chill.
Nice.
Are you ready to talk about Cobra Kai?
Cobra
And
Kai,
people who
yeah.
take karate way too seriously?
Yes. I have a breakdown of Cobra Kai. Well, I have a lot to say on the franchise that is Karate Kid. Do we want to? I guess we should just do that. Do you want to do that all before we get into the recap?
Yes, let's talk
Okay.
about your history with the Karate Kid franchise, how you feel about it, that controversial opinion you teased last week. Let's get into it.
I'll get to that in my breakdown. Do you want to give
Okay.
your? How about you give your general Karate Kid
Okay.
experience, and then I'll do the breakdown of the history of Karate Kid.
At some point in my childhood, I saw The Karate Kid, the first movie, and I enjoyed it well enough. It was fine. I was not old enough to overly critique it. It was good. It was fine. Then some other movies came out that I do not remember anything about. I don't think I've ever seen Karate Kid Part 2 or 3. And then there was one with a girl that maybe I saw once or maybe saw a scene of. And that's it until the new Karate Kid with Jackie Chan came out, and I watched that. And end of story. I do not have a deep connection to this franchise, but I have seen it before.
Did you watch the Jackie Chan Karate Kid on your own fruition, or is that something that I picked for like a movie night? I don't remember.
I think it was your fault, yeah. Because I
Okay.
was I was definitely like, whoa, old curmudgeonly opinion. I like the old Karate Kid. Why would they make a new one? But the new one was fine. And at the end of the day, you got to respect Jackie Chan. He seems like a decent human being, and he is very good at his stunts and kung fu stuff, and
Yeah.
seems like a decent dude. So
Yeah. All right, I'll give you the full breakdown,
okay,
and I'll just talk about each thing as we go. First one, 1984. Sarah,
yes,
that is when the Karate Kid came out.
mm-hmm,
Cobra Kai, which we're about to watch, was released in 2018.
yes. 34 years later.
34 years after. Jesus. After the original Karate Kid movie.
Mm-hmm.
Important to emphasize that, I think,
Yeah.
in when we do the recap. But I actually managed to rewatch the original Karate Kid movie this week.
Oh, really? I was
I
gonna watch
did.
it, but then it wasn't on anything for free, so I decided not to.
I'm just gonna give my breakdown of this
Mm-hmm.
Karate Kid movie. First 5-10 minutes of the original Karate Kid movie, super cringe. Like
Oh, really?
I was like maybe one more minute away from just turning it off and being like, I can't do it.
Wow. Why? I know you don't enjoy older movies. Was it more
That's
than
not
that?
true. I
Well, I
don't just
mean,
not enjoy older movies. That's not a fair statement.
isn't it? I would
No.
say when comparing older movies and newer movies, you tend to enjoy the newer movies more. Is that fair?
Well, yeah, because they're objectively better most of the
Yeah. See,
times.
you don't like older
That
movies
doesn't mean
as
the old
much.
movies are bad, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what was the cringe?
Okay, so it was just like the issue with the first 5-10 minutes of this movie is that like Mr. Miyagi has not entered the movie yet,
Okay.
and Daniel Larusso,
LaRusso.
played by what's
Ralph Macchio?
I I don't know if I just feel like I'm not a Ralph Macchio fan.
Okay. That's
He
fair.
was fine in My Cousin Vinny is like the one movie that I've seen with him that I didn't think he was awkward in.
Okay.
But he's just super awkward in this movie.
What else have you seen him in? Like, I feel like I've only ever seen him in The Karate Kid and now Cobra Kai.
Yeah, and My Cousin Vinny.
Okay, so this is the extent of our experience with him. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. He's been in a ton of things. It's not like super fair, but in my experience with him, I never really liked him. So I feel like he's like super cringy, kind of. And then the cringe just really stems from like whenever it's like only the kids,
Mm-hmm.
like the high school kids in the movie, and then especially when it's like the romance scenes between Daniel and Allie,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
they're so cringe.
Okay.
But in fairness, I did genuinely laugh a handful of times watching it, but it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't in the first 5-10 minutes. There's a scene where like Daniel's like asking Allie's name, and she's like, it's Allie with an I, and Daniel's like, oh, I'm Daniel with an L. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That made me laugh. But did you know that movie takes place in Los Angeles? I did not realize that.
I think I knew that. If for no other reason than Cobra Kai is pretty clearly in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I think I was like melding all the movies together, but like I just assumed that it took place in Japan or Okinawa or like wherever Mr.
Okay.
Miyagi's from.
Yeah.
But yeah, when Mr. Miyagi comes in, I think he like kind of saves the movie.
Okay.
I'm sure this movie was great and fine when it came out, but 34 years later, no, 35 plus years later now, Mr. Miyagi needs to save this movie. And then, but even Mr. Miyagi in this movie, Sarah, he's kind of an asshole. Like,
okay.
he straight up cons Daniel into doing chores at his house.
Okay, but he does then use those chores for karate. Like,
yeah, but he literally could have just explained the 4 moves or whatever he learned for 4 days of doing chores, and it would have been just as effective.
He had to work in muscle memory. That's important. See, here's the thing. If he had just been like, here are the moves, now we're going to practice them for 1,000,000 hours, Mr. Miyagi would have to like try to attack Daniel the whole time and then he'd block him. This way, he can like drill in those muscle movements and Mr. Miyagi doesn't have to do anything. Mr. Miyagi is a genius.
Mr. Miyagi also had chores that needed to be done.
Both can be true. Both can be true.
I guess so. I think he would have just come up with whatever chores needed to be done. He would have come up with something.
Okay.
And then there's a scene where Daniel's like balancing on the boat for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And he just like knocks him in the water and just laughs his ass off at this. Like,
I mean,
Mr. Miyagi's uncontrollably laughing in the boat that he just knocked this kid into the water. Like,
Mr. Miyagi finds joy in life where he can.
I guess. I mean, Mr. Miyagi's still the best part of this movie, but yeah, it's fine. Oh, another funny line was when they had to drive to his house for the first time, and Mr. Miyagi had like a truck, but Mr. Miyagi doesn't have a license, and neither did Daniel. And then Daniel's like, I don't have a license, and Mr. Miyagi's like, oh, neither do I. And then Daniel just goes, and I think he just was dead serious when he said this. He was like, oh, I guess it's okay then. I don't think it was supposed to be a joke, but I don't know.
Teaching Daniel-san the important lessons in life.
And then the ending of the original Karate Kid is so rushed and awkward. Like it just gets to the final 4, and then you just kind of have like mostly this one angle of just like seeing all the points play out. And then eventually he like does the crane stance, kicks him in the face, and then they raise him in the air, and then the movie's over. It's just like it ends so abruptly.
That's like, I feel like that's classic like 80s sports movie ending. It's just like, yeah, we did it, freeze frame.
But they didn't have like any. We'll get into it. Like there's like a scene that they had to add into the flashback in Cobra Kai because like it wasn't in the original movie.
It was in the second movie. Bam.
Oh, was it? Okay, I was wondering because
I haven't seen, but I looked up.
Okay, because I was wondering because it was like, it didn't look like they CGI'd. It looked like it was still old footage, but I was confused. Okay, but yeah, we don't get explanation of like how the tournament works either. So like in previous rounds they were doing like best of 3 points, but then in the finals it was like best of 5, but they never said it. So it was like, at one point I was like, oh, did Daniel win already? And then I was like, oh, wait, it's best of 5. I don't know. It was just like really awkward. I don't know.
Okay.
And then let's move on from the 1984. 1986 was Karate Kid Part 2. I feel like I've seen Part 1 and 2, but I don't have any memories of them. And I wasn't going to go rewatch all of them.
In later seasons of Cobra Kai, like they bring in more people and plot lines from Part 2 and 3.
Oh,
where season 1 is just pretty much the original movie.
The original, okay, gotcha. And then Karate Kid Part 3 came out in 1989. But before we get to the 1994, the next Karate Kid with the girl, is the one with the girl Karate Kid. Are you aware of the Karate Kid the animated series?
I became aware of that today on Wikipedia.
Did you listen to the intro song of the show?
Oh, no, I did not.
All right, you ready to listen to the intro song of the show on the podcast?
100%. Give it to me.
This song slaps. Ready?
Okay.
All right, that's the whole song.
That's amazing. Oh my god.
That's the rest. That's there's another like 40 seconds, but it's the same. It's just that.
So good.
Oh man, I couldn't believe what I was watching when I found that. Karate Kid. Yeah, I had no idea what that show's about. Like the intro package has like them fighting guys on bikes, and they might be in the middle of a jungle with like alligator. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in this Karate Kid animated series. I think there's only one season of this, maybe like 13 episodes or something.
Yeah, I think I read that like an important thing from Mr. Miyagi's shrine or whatever has been stolen and they have to go find it. And that's pretty much it.
Can't wait for the flashbacks in Cobra Kai of the
Oh, well,
Karate
here's
Kid
the
episode.
thing. The people who've made Cobra Kai have decided that that is not canon.
Oh, come on.
So they don't have to worry
They
about
could at
it.
least work the theme song in.
Oh, well, sadly they haven't, but they did put like the shrine in as a little like Easter egg in season 3, I think. So
Okay.
you got
Okay.
that to look forward to.
Yeah, the Karate Kid animated series. I'm pretty sure it aired on NBC. Like it was on national TV. I don't know what time slot it had, but
Oh, it's probably
it was
just
probably
like
like
Saturday morning
Yeah,
cartoons, yeah.
Saturday morning NBC in 1989.
I mean, there was a Jackie Chan Adventures cartoon.
Now that
like,
okay,
in
that
the
show
90s, so...
legit awesome. I watched that. That was on my Saturday morning cartoons, and yeah, that was must watch. Now, if I watched it again, it'd probably not withstand the test of time, but in my head, it's incredible. All right, then in 1994, we get the next Karate Kid with the girl. I don't think I've ever seen this. I think it's on Netflix though. I might check it out. I'm not sure though.
Yeah, I think I remember like seeing a scene or two when it was on TV, like I was flipping through, but then it was like in the middle, so I didn't keep watching, and I never went back.
I probably saw this title before and was just like, oh, that must be the second Karate Kid movie. And then, big gap, 16 years after that, 2010, we get The Karate Kid again.
With Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith.
Yeah, Jaden Smith, Jackie Chan, and Taraji Henson, who I feel like she's in a lot of stuff now, and she's a pretty big deal. I don't know how big she was in 2010, but she's in Hidden Figures.
Oh, really?
She's the black computer that gets like picked and gets to work on the launches for NASA.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's Jaden Smith's mom in this movie. I think she's funny in this too. And here's the big thing that people aren't gonna like that I say. Mm-hmm. This 2010 Karate Kid movie is the best Karate Kid movie, and it's not even close.
I don't know. It feels wrong because like literally, like there's no karate in this movie, right? Jackie Chan, she teaches him kung fu. Like that makes it problematic for being the best Karate Kid movie. Where's your karate?
Well, yeah. It uses the same storyline. I don't have an issue with them doing it. Like kung fu is cooler than karate, but they wanted the name. They wanted the brand name. Also, they can't call it the Kung Fu Kid. That just sounds terrible.
Absolutely could. That's so much fun.
That sounds terrible.
Better than the Karate Kid? Like, come on.
I don't know. Kung Fu Kid sounds...
Kung Fu Kid sounds awesome.
I guess.
But do you find... I don't remember what Jackie Chan's name is in this movie.
Mr. Han.
Mr. Han.
Mr. Han.
Do you find Mr. Han's method of training of hanging the jacket up or
yes.
whatever a more valuable or a training method that makes more sense to you than sand the floor, paint the fence?
I like it better because like Jackie Chan's not conning Jaden Smith into doing his chores. He's like he literally sets up like a peg on a post and has him like put his jacket on the post and pick it up and put it on and take it off and put it back on the post over and over and over again. So he's not like taking advantage of him, you know. It does seem dumb, but I like the scene where the moves come to fruition and he gets to like they spar together and they use the moves they learned, like they have the same kind of scene. And I think it works. I liked it. So I like that he's not getting conned into doing chores. And the reason he's telling him to hang up his jacket is because like there's a thing in the movie where his mom keeps telling him to hang up his jacket and he like doesn't do it. So Jackie Chan is also teaching him like a moral lesson, or like,
Yeah, to stop being a little shit and hang up his
yeah,
jacket. Yeah.
he's teaching him like an ethical kind of thing, or like how to have good manners, not just the physical ability of
Okay,
painting
but
fences
Mr.
and whatnot.
But Mr. Miyagi is also teaching Daniel how to wax cars, paint fences, sand floors. He's, providing that kid with valuable skills.
I guess so. Although he's not actually teaching him like the best way to do it, he's just teaching him like,
A way to do it that also is karate.
I'm gonna tell you to do it this way because then it will turn into a karate move later.
Mm-hmm.
Like especially with like sanding the floors. Like I'm pretty sure that's not the best way to be sanding the floors.
Okay, maybe.
Oh, but there is a line in the original Karate Kid movie where Daniel's like, Mr. Miyagi, where'd you get all these cars from? Because Mr. Miyagi has like, for some reason, has like nice cars in his
a bunch of like
house.
classic cars. Yeah.
Yeah, and he says Detroit, and then I'm pretty sure, Jaden Smith and his mom are like from Detroit.
Okay.
In that, I don't know if that's a shout out to the original movie or not. But yeah,
Solidarity?
they have to move from Detroit to China, and so it's a lot more sympathy for me for Jaden Smith than for Daniel in the original, because like he's still in the United States, and he moved from Jersey to Southern California. Like, what's he complaining about?
I mean, mostly probably the beatings from the bullies. I
Well,
think
yeah,
is what
but
he's complaining about.
Well, yeah, but he could be in a whole other country and not know how to speak the language. Is what I'm saying.
I guess that's true.
And then I didn't put this together, but then this has to be a shout out to the original movie, that instead of learning crane style,
Mm-hmm.
he learns Cobra style in the Jackie Chan version.
That makes sense.
I think it's Cobra style. It's something with a snake. I'm pretty sure he calls it Cobra style. And then the big kicker for this Karate Kid movie, or no, let me say this. Okay, there's also cringe moments.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say the one thing I remember about this movie concretely is that Jaden Smith is out at an arcade with the girl love interest or whatever, and they're playing Dance Dance Revolution or some equivalent thereof.
Yeah.
And at the end, the machine just goes sexy, and I'm like, these
no,
such small children.
No, it says you're hot.
Oh, is that what it is? My brain made it.
Yeah,
worse,
it wasn't.
I guess,
Dance Dance Revolution isn't going to tell you sexy.
I don't know. It traumatized me a little. These poor children.
It was funny. Yeah, but so yeah, the love scenes are like also cringe in this one, but I think they're like cuter in a way because they're like middle school kids instead of yeah. Whereas like in the original one, they're supposed to be like seniors in high school or something, and I don't know. Their like romantic relationship is like too serious and like not enjoyable to watch. Whereas this one is at least a little cute.
Fair enough.
And then the big kicker is that the combat is just way better in the Jackie Chan version. I don't know. The combat just doesn't work for me. The old movie combat.
Okay. I don't know. I cannot speak to either karate or kung fu. I have never learned them. I don't know if
I don't think
set of
I don't think that was the issue.
Accurate,
it was just the choreography that the director chose,
I don't know. I mean, I'm still gonna say I think I like the original Karate Kid better than the new one.
You need to go back and watch it before you can say that.
We had this debate when I watched the new Karate Kid, though, and I feel like I had recently watched the old one and still came out on.
Do not know why you would have watched the old one recently. That's just not a move that anybody would do unless you.
I think it was just to prove you wrong, so that way I could be like, no, the old one's better.
Yeah, I just don't think that's true. There's a couple of things we can get to during this recap, because there's gonna be some flashbacks to the original movie.
Oh yeah.
And we can do some more comparisons along the way. Okay, that brings us to 2018. Cobra Kai, still going strong. Season 5 is coming out on September 9th.
Yes.
Here's the breakdown for Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai is an action comedy drama.
Mm-hmm.
On the wiki, it says it re-examines the Miyagi-verse narrative from Johnny's point of view, his decision to reopen the Cobra Kai karate dojo, and the rekindling of his old rivalry with Daniel. So this will have Johnny and Daniel from the original movie.
Yep.
in it as 34 years later.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, I don't know what actual age the actors were, but their characters are like 50, low
Mid
50s.
50s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
51, 52 now going into
Yeah.
the series. So this show, the first two seasons were actually released on YouTube Red or Premium or whatever they called their subscription.
Yeah, it was called YouTube Red at the time, but now they've changed it to Premium.
Yeah, it might have switched over like between season 1 or 2 from what I was looking.
Mm.
And then they produced the third season of the show, or were producing, or in the middle of it. And then YouTube decided to stop producing their scripted original shows. So they had a third season, but nobody nowhere to put it.
Mm-hmm.
So Netflix picked it up in 2020,
Yep.
and they released the third season in 2021. And then later in 2021, Netflix renewed for season 4. And then before season 4 was even released, they renewed for season 5.
Well, dang.
So they were feeling good about season 4 after that was made. And now, I guess based on season 4, the show has been nominated for I think like 2 Emmys.
Yeah, I looked it up. There
Something
were,
like that?
I mean, they've been nominated in the past for
They
like
have? Okay.
fight choreography stuff, but they got nominated now for like best comedy series or something
Really?
along those lines.
Damn.
Something that's not just about the fighting.
Okay. So this is a like Academy approved, this show.
Or something like that. Yeah.
Whatever it is. It's on the radars of people that vote for things.
Yes.
But yeah, season 5 premieres on Netflix September 9th. And that's why we're talking about it.
Yep.
Pretty much, right? It was on
I
your
had
list
this-
anyway.
I had
right?
this on my list for us to watch anyway, but the timing seemed appropriate. So
Yeah. Anything else you got on Cobra Kai before we actually get to the recap?
I think I'm ready to move on to episode 1 of Cobra Kai.
Okay. Here we go. We start with a flashback to the original Karate Kid movie. And it's the tournament finals.
It's December 19th, 1984. All Valley under 18 karate tournament.
Yeah, like this tournament, right? It's like, it's very regional, correct? It's like,
oh yeah, it's
like, it's just like the LA area or whatever.
Yes,
like,
but
okay.
like everybody is very intense about karate in the Karate Kid movies. Like not just in the tournament itself, but like there's a lot of people at it. Like you'd expect, like my brother did Taekwondo growing up, and like the people at the tournament are just everybody's moms. Like this was like a proper audience. And there's an episode later in Cobra Kai where somebody explains that like karate in the 80s in the Valley was like football in Texas. Like people just give way too much of a shit
they
about
tried to
karate.
justify it.
Yes.
That's not actually true though, right? It's just
I don't think
the
that's
lore
true. That's
of...
just the lore of the Miyagi verse.
The Miyagi verse. I like Miyagi verse. That's a good term.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so this flashback, they do a couple. They only pretty much use footage from the original movie. I think they do only use footage from the original movie, and then they use footage later. You said from the beginning of the second Karate Kid.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. But in this flashback, they like add like freeze frames where they like put the scoreboard on, like the score on the board and stuff. So this flashback of the tournament finals is actually better than the original cut of the tournament finals.
Well, it's like
opinion.
an abbreviated thing, right? They're not showing it. They want to just like make a dramatic real quick. You remember this big fight.
Yeah.
The thing that you cared about from that movie.
But having just watched, I watched the original movie and then watched this, and I was like, oh, this was way cooler. And it actually had like music over the fight too, which I feel like there might have been some sort of music going on, but it was not like loud and intense, you know, in the original movie. It was just kind of like it was like if you were just there watching them fight for the most part.
What drives me nuts about this flashback and also about the original movie is there's that one dumb kid from the Cobra Kai dojo who's just like, yeah, get him a body bag in the background. It just stands out so much. And I'm like, what have they done to these children? They're so aggressive.
I remember that line. I don't know. I couldn't pick out which kid it was.
I have no distinguishing factors to bring up. He was one of the other karate boys.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, then Daniel Like Crane kicks him to the face, as you know you'd expect because you've seen the movie before, and that's where the flashback ends.
And we get this like new shot of Johnny. It's not even like the actor that's playing Johnny here. It's like some stunt double where of him just like lying face down on the mat, because that's an angle that's like not in the original movie.
Yeah, and they zoom in on the Cobra Kai logo on his back, and then it cuts to a similar shot pulling out of grown-up Johnny passed out in his bed with beer cans and chips.
Yes. 34 years later, it's the quote-unquote present day when this came out.
Mm-hmm.
And all I have about Johnny in this opening like sequence is like, this guy seems to not care about anything. Like,
oh yeah,
it's like almost immediately obvious that like this regional karate
tournament
final where he got second place and not first, somehow 34 years later is still like has destroyed his life somehow. Like I don't know
literally the turning point in his life. Like he had his high school peak and then Daniel kicked him in the face and ruined the rest of his life.
It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, so he's laying in bed and his alarm goes off and we follow him through his like process of getting ready. He's like drinking old beer and from his nightstand and thinking it's gross and then drinking it anyway. You see like his closet, he's got his karate trophy in the back. So like he doesn't have a lot of stuff, but like he still has that. And like he's making a gross breakfast and like clearly he lives alone in a shitty apartment. And he's got a little soccer photo of a young boy from 2010 on his fridge. So, like, presumably a child that is not in this apartment. Yeah, it just seems really sad.
Yep. And then he's going to walk outside. He's going to take out the trash.
Yep.
And then he's going to run into this kid named Miguel who just moved into the apartment building. And Miguel's going to try to be friendly and talk to him. And Johnny is going to not have any interest in talking to Miguel at all.
The first words our supposed hero protagonist of the show says is great more immigrants. Johnny, come on.
Jesus.
Oh, Johnny sucks. Like you thought Obi-Wan sucked in the Obi-Wan. No, Johnny fucking sucks so bad.
Obi-Wan just sucked relative to like how Jedis usually were. This is just being terrible.
That's true. I mean, Johnny wasn't great in Karate Kid in terms of like as a human being. He continued to not be great.
Yeah, he didn't learn anything.
No, like this guy is like stuck in the moment that was that what his life could have been. He never like has grown since that kick to the face. He is just Johnny from the 80s. It's terrible.
So yeah, he gets Miguel, shut up and go away.
Yeah, Miguel just wants to know, like, he's like, you know, we're new to the building. The water pressure is terrible in our apartment. Is it fine in yours? And he's just like, this place sucks. The only reason I like it here is because I don't have to talk to anyone. Goodbye.
The water pressure on the faucet, I think, is like a shout out to the original movie as well.
Oh, yeah.
I want to say they do. I want to say it's the same thing in the Jackie Chan one.
Oh, probably. It makes sense.
Yeah. Actually, no, it might be the shower in that one. I don't know. I didn't go back and rewatch that, but I've seen it enough times.
Mm-hmm.
So then Johnny's going to get in his car and go for a ride.
Not just any car. It's his very old, beat up, cool car that was definitely cool in the 80s.
It's a Pontiac. That's all I know.
A Pontiac Firebird.
Oh, okay.
I guess was cool in the 80s. But yeah, it is. It looks a little beat to shit, but he is clinging to his 80s coolness with every fiber of his being.
Yes. And there's even though it's like this show is still 2018 is when the show is, like the music that they use throughout different parts, like they'll use like the Chicago Bulls theme song from the 80s or whatever.
Okay.
In some scenes. And then there was like, I think I have later, like there's like a Dean Martin soundtrack, which I assume is from that time period as well. So like the music,
that's definitely from earlier. But
that's
like,
older. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but like here is like
they use old music all over the place in this, or whatever would have been popular or people would have been listening to in the 80s. Maybe is what it's
really whatever music Johnny likes is mostly what is in this.
There you go. So he's in his car, he's riding around, and he's gonna stop at a light or something, and then he looks up at a billboard, and the billboard says, "LaRusso Auto Group. We kick the competition."
And Daniel is on this billboard, like with his leg like out doing a sidekick, like much in the same way that Johnny's life has never moved past this moment of karate in the 80s. I feel like Daniel has never moved past it either. Like it's his
Yeah,
whole
like,
identity, it seems.
so I don't know what, I don't remember exactly what happens in Karate Kid 2 and 3. But like
Hmm.
from Karate Kid 1 alone, like Daniel would not be famous for being a Karate Kid from this regional,
Except
except I guess the lore of the show or whatever.
in the
Yes.
Miyagi verse, the Valley, like karate in the Valley,
I
was
guess
like
so.
football in Texas. So yeah, it
Okay,
totally
okay.
makes
I guess I
sense.
just have to accept that.
And I think in the third one, he also wins the tournament. So he's a two-time All Valley under 18 karate tournament winner.
Okay. One of the movies I swear takes place in Japan, but maybe they go back
Yeah.
to the States. I'm not
No, I
sure.
think the second movie is in Japan, and then the third movie, they come back, and he actually lives with Mr. Miyagi because his mom had to leave to take care of like a sick relative. I got deep on
Oh,
Wikipedia
okay.
today. But Mr. Miyagi will not train him for the tournament because he's like, that's not what karate's for. So Daniel actually joins Cobra Kai, and some coked out moron, like whoever has taken over Cobra Kai,
Oh,
like
shit.
tortures him to get back at him for shit. And then at the end, he wins the tournament. I don't know what happens in the middle, but it's a lot of nonsense.
All right, okay. Maybe Daniel has more of a reputation than I'm giving credit for here. I think when Johnny looks at the sign, he's like, ugh, another one? As in, like,
Yeah.
Daniel has, like, multiple LaRusso auto group locations. Like, Daniel must be doing pretty good with himself. He's pretty
Yeah,
successful.
definitely. But then Johnny just puts on his cool guy sunglasses and turns up the music and drives away.
Yeah. And then he's going to be, like, creepy to a woman.
Yeah, there's a woman stretching on the street, and he's checking her out. He's just like, "Hey," and she like literally calls him a creep and just runs away.
Yeah. I wrote down a bunch of Johnny not being a good person highlights, but at some point I just gave up. I think at
Yeah,
some point
it's
we'll just get the picture.
yeah, he's not. It's just terrible.
Yeah.
But after this, we get a work montage because he's a handyman, I guess, and he's at people's houses cleaning out gutters, and children are shooting water guns at him. I don't think he's a very good handyman because at another house, he's like messing with an electrical box, and he just like jams a screwdriver in them and then like low key electrocutes himself, which seems like you should know better if you're a handyman.
That's in another episode, you said?
No, that's like in this montage.
Oh,
There's
really?
there's just
I
a
missed
moment.
it. I missed it. Okay.
It's pretty quick. And then we finally arrive at he's installing a TV on a wall, and he actually seems like he's doing not a terrible job at it.
Yeah, I thought he was fine. Like, it seemed like he was decent enough at his job, but he doesn't, maybe doesn't pay attention to detail.
Mm-hmm.
Because what
Because a woman
happens?
comes in and like yells at him because he has put the TV on the wrong wall. And she says she told him to put it on the wall across from the door, but there are two walls across from doors, so it was clearly a misunderstanding on both parts. But this argument kind of escalates, and he's trying to actually de-escalate the situation. He's like, "Hey, we'll figure this out. Like, I cannot finish this today. I'll come back tomorrow, but just quit bitching at me," which is the worst thing he could have said. She does
Not
not
the
enjoy
worst,
that.
but yeah.
Well, not the worst, but in this situation, it's the thing that really gets him in trouble because our next scene is him outside on the phone with his boss getting fired because she called his boss and said he called her a bitch.
Okay, this scene made me laugh because he was saying, like, I didn't call her a bitch. I just said she was bitching at me. And then later in the conversation, he's like, you're really going to fire me over that bitch?
Yeah, so I don't really yeah, there's no reason not to believe that he would have called someone a bitch because that's Johnny.
Yeah. Like, you like walked into the HR department and you were like, you're like, I didn't call that bitch a bitch or something.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, you're not gonna win any your case doing this.
So sad fired Johnny gets in his car.
Yeah, and then Daniel's ad for his auto group is gonna be on the radio, which is not gonna it's gonna piss Johnny off even more.
Yep. He's not having a good day.
I wrote down basically Johnny's life sucks and he sucks. That's what I wrote down from this
That's
so
a
far.
fair assessment. Yep.
And then I think next they go to like a quickie mart or something or a mini mart.
Yeah,
Or
like a little
something.
convenience store or something.
Yeah. And I don't know, there's like an interaction that happens inside where like other people are kind of being shitty to him too.
Yeah, but he is not helping like the situation at all.
It seems like they might know him, and that's why they're being shitty to him. It's kind of like unclear.
Mm.
But the part I wrote down is like when he's outside drinking in the parking lot or something. There's like a homeless woman,
Yes.
and the homeless woman's like, "Hey, get out of here! This is my turf."
Yes, and he gets
'Cause he
really
thought-
upset. He's like,
he
I'm
thought
not
that-
homeless. That is my car.
Yeah,
But he's
that
just
was
like
good.
eating a slice of pizza, like sitting on the sidewalk
Yeah.
looking sad and like a little messy from the day.
Yeah, that also made me laugh. That was good.
But yeah, he'd just been in the convenience store getting his slice of pizza, and Miguel had come in because he needed to get some Pepto-Bismol for his grandma, and he's trying to make small talk, and Johnny's terrible. And while Johnny's outside eating his pizza, some dude bros show up, and
High school dude bros.
some high school dude bros, yeah.
Miguel is
So
also
they-
in high school.
Yes. The high school dude bros show up in like a friggin' Hummer or whatever, and they go inside, and honestly, I don't know what they said because I don't speak dude bro, but I'm pretty sure they were trying to buy some beer. They said some nonsense I could not I could not decipher.
Yeah, I think that is what they were doing. And then they didn't show the scene, but I think when they went in, Miguel like said hi to them in a way that like must have implied that they were underaged, and then he ruined whatever they were gonna do to buy the alcohol.
Right.
As-
Because
that's what I've gathered, but they didn't show the scene.
Yeah, because what we see is the dude bros pushing Miguel out of the convenience store, and he's like apologizing. He's like, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were trying to buy beer. And they're like, that guy thought we were in college and you messed it up. And it's just like, okay. But so the lead dude bro like pushes him to the ground through some bushes, and then all the dude bros surround him to be menacing dude bros.
Yeah, it's basically the exact like it's the exact like beat up. Like Miguel is the new Daniel,
Yes.
and he's the one getting beat up by the jerk guys at the high
Mhm.
school. Like it's basically just the exact same scene almost.
Yeah, except like here we get to see Johnny just sit and eat his pizza through most of
Yes.
this harassing event. Like he is not worrying about it. These guys like find his Pepto-Bismol and like dump it all over him and like give him a new nickname about having diarrhea or something. And Johnny does not care until Miguel tries to run away and they push him into his car. And he's like, hey, wait, watch the car. Leave it alone.
Yeah, he does not come to Miguel's rescue like Mr. Miyagi did. The
Yes, he
original.
does not care about this child at all.
Yeah, but then once the car gets knocked, yeah, like you said, this has Johnny's attention now, and Johnny's just like not really good at talking to people or like communicating.
That
So
is
this
true.
escalates very quickly as well.
Oh, yeah. Basically, I think one of them recognizes him as like the handyman that came and cleaned out his dad's septic tank. And so they say that he smells like shit, and he's just like super offended by these. I'm like, dude bro
Yeah.
teenagers are gonna say dumb shit. You just let it go. But then the lead dude bro pushes him, and at that point, Johnny just fucking kicks this child right in the goddamn face. Like it escalates so fast.
He really beats these kids. Not like he hits them, and then he doesn't like get on top of them and like keep punching them, but he is striking them like in the
Oh,
face
yeah.
with punches and
Mhm.
kicks. Like, and when Mr. Miyagi comes to Daniel's rescue in the original one, I also
Mhm.
feel like Mr. Miyagi was really giving it to those kids as well. And in the Jackie Chan version,
Mhm.
and I don't know if this is like a kung fu versus karate kind of thing, and maybe it's also because Jackie Chan fights against a bunch of middle school kids in the scene
Uh-huh.
in that one.
Mhm.
But Jackie Chan fights in a way where he like sidesteps a lot of the kids, and then he like uses the kids in a way where like they keep like hitting themselves, or like their buddies will like the kids will like hit each other, but Jackie Chan never actually like hits or punches the kids.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
and then they even have like Dre is the kid's name in that movie, and he's like how'd you do that? It's like they were fighting against themselves. Like they actually make an attempt to like justify that Jackie Chan has fought these kids in a way that like wasn't unethical.
It's not him just beating on
Yeah,
some
but
children.
Mr. Miyagi and Johnny, they kind of just they take these high school kids to the cleaners basically. Like, it's pretty
Well, yeah.
savage.
for Mr. Miyagi, it was the 80s, and for Johnny, it's still the 80s. So yeah.
I guess so. Yeah. But yeah, he beats these kids, but then the cops are going to show up while Johnny's
there is
like...
one thing I love about this fight, which is just like Johnny was mid pizza slice, right? And he had to drop it for this fight, and you just see the like homeless woman who was just harassing him, just enjoying his pizza in the background, watching him beat the shit out of these kids.
I missed that.
Also, Miguel is amazed.
I did write down that like the combat in this fight is already better than the original Karate Kid movie. That's what I wrote down.
Okay, fair enough. They do have good fight choreography in this for the most part.
It might have been the music was just better too. I don't know what it was about it, but I just already felt like it was better.
Okay.
But then the cops show up and see that Johnny's beating up these kids. So the cops come and I think they knock Johnny out, right?
One of them comes up and maces him right in the face from close distance. And I gotta say, when you mace somebody from that close, you don't just mace them, you mace yourself. Like, in high school, I was at a party once, and somebody was playing with some mace outside the house, and a window was open, and it wafted in, and like half of my face got basically maced with very little effort. There is no way this cop would survive this macing without damaging himself. Yeah. It was intense.
That's how mace just works in movies and TV shows, though.
That's true.
I think.
But yeah, it was hilarious. Just he gets right up on him, and it's just like, mace!
And then I think they knock him out, too, after
Yes, they do knock him out for good measure, because I guess it's also the 80s for the cops in this show, too.
I guess so. So, presumably, he was taken to jail for some amount of time. But next time we see him, he's being let out.
Yeah, it seems like it's the next
maybe
day.
Overnight
like you get
or
a
something.
sunrise. Yeah.
And then he gets back to the apartment, and Miguel's there. And Miguel's like, oh my God, that was crazy. You got to teach me how to do that. And he's asking, like, what was that? Like, what were you, what was that, jiu-jitsu? What was that? And then Johnny's very, like, serious. He's like, that was karate.
How dare you?
Come on. Karate is the best and most serious of disciplines. Of course it was karate. No other technique would have worked in that situation. I'm exaggerating, but that's how it felt. Like, I feel like Johnny is like it's like karate is the only way to fight.
This is the beginning of everyone in this show taking karate way too seriously. It's intense.
Yeah. But of course, Johnny is not interested in teaching Miguel.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, no, I don't even know if I could be around kids right now.
Yeah, that was a good line.
There.
Yeah.
And he says he needs to find a job. So Miguel's like, just open a karate school. And he's like, it's called a dojo. He's like, then open a dojo. And he's like, no. And he goes away. There is a bit of advice that Johnny does give Miguel, though, and I don't have any kids. But you have a kid, not quite of karate fighting age yet, but I need you to judge if this advice is any good. He just said, try not being so annoying. Maybe you'll stop getting your ass kicked. Johnny's like great with the advice here.
I mean, it's not a kind way to give advice, but I mean, hopefully nobody's getting their ass kicked. If you're getting your ass kicked, it's not your fault. If you're getting teased, it could be because you're annoying. I don't know.
Okay.
But if you're just living your life like Miguel is and you're getting your ass kicked, there's nothing you can do. Or there's no
according
social,
to Cobra Kai, there is something.
There's no social thing that he could do that is like gonna make him not get beat up.
No,
although it seems like
is learn karate.
Miguel is only getting beat up because he like messed up their scam for getting alcohol, right? Whereas like Daniel in the first movie, like just moves to town and immediately starts dating Johnny's like ex-girlfriend or something, and I think that's the reason that they hate him so much.
Yeah, pretty much. But like he didn't know. Like he just found a girl he liked and started talking to her, and Johnny lost his absolute shit about it.
Yeah. But Daniel just like keeps on dating this girl, so like the issue between them like doesn't go away. But like is Miguel actually at risk of getting beat up again going forward in this? Because it was just like a one-time thing that happened. I guess they could keep being mad at him because he ruined their scam, but
yeah, they definitely like keep up with the nickname.
I don't think Miguel gets beat up again in these first two episodes, does he?
I think that is correct. He does get beat up again later, but
Daniel gets beat up at least like 3 times in the original movie before he gets Mr. Miyagi's help.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but then Johnny's gonna go into his apartment. And Sarah, can you explain who these two people are that are just waiting for him in his apartment are?
So he comes into his apartment and there's a woman on his couch just watching TV. And she's like, looks like maybe she's in nurse scrubs, but Johnny clearly doesn't know who she is because he's just like, who are you? What are you doing here? And then there's an old man looking through his fridge and criticizing his old meat or whatever. And this is Sid. It is Johnny's stepfather. And
Stepfather, okay.
the woman on the couch is Sid's nurse because he's an old man who has a lot of health issues. So he has a nurse that takes care of him.
That makes sense. All that happened is that we basically find out that like Johnny is a dad and his son must be like, they say the son must be like 14 or 15, but I think based on the photo from 2010.
It's like 15 or 16, I think is.
Okay, I was going to say like 18, but still, I think he's in high school also.
Yeah, he's about the same age as Miguel.
Who knows if this kid's going to get roped up into all this karate nonsense.
Of course he is.
Since he's also in high school.
Oh, like spoiler alert, by like season 2, all of the valley is like wrapped up in this karate nonsense. No child is safe.
Oh, really? Okay, interesting. Yeah. Okay. That could be spicy.
Oh, it gets very spicy. But so yeah, Sid has bailed Johnny out from jail the previous night, apparently, and this seems to have happened in the past, and I guess Johnny's mom is dead, because Sid keeps talking about how he promised her that he would take care of her son, but now he's done, so he has written Johnny a check to like buy him out of his life so he never has to deal with him again.
But Johnny does not accept this, right?
That is correct. He immediately rips it up, and we don't know how much it was for. I am interested in knowing that. But
yeah. And if he just says no, does that mean like this Sid guy is still like responsible for him? Is that like a thing? Or could the Sid guy just be like,
50 whatever year old man? No one is responsible for him.
Yeah, okay.
But I think as far as Sid is concerned, he's like, I've washed my hands of this man. I don't have to deal with him anymore. Like, whether or not he accepts this money, he's just like, I'm done.
I don't know why he doesn't just take the money. Johnny's a pretty unreasonable guy.
Well, they do seem to have a pretty rocky relationship. And, like, honestly, like, Sid's also an asshole. So, like, I can understand why that would be a fraught relationship.
If Johnny's only been a problem for him, like, and that's their relationship, is like Johnny is a problem and he fixes it, then, you know, Sid can feel however he wants to feel.
I mean, I guess, but
I don't know the full background of this character.
We do get like flashbacks in later seasons that show like he was always really shitty to him even as a kid. So,
okay.
Sid has also not grown over the course of this whole
years.
situation. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, then he like basically leaves and tells Johnny he'd tell him to get his life in order, but at this point, it's just too late. Whatever. It's like, thanks, Sid. Words of encouragement.
It really is like a long drawn out, like, just like, okay, let's just show how terrible Johnny's life is and how much it's like his fault, you know? Yeah. And then we're gonna get another scene that shows that even more after this.
Yes, it is. I'm assuming later that night he's watching some 80s movie with dudes and jets in the dark. I don't know what movie this is, but Johnny is like pouring whiskey into beer cans and, you know, drinking that like a classy man. He's not having a good time.
But then a commercial for Daniel's auto group.
Not quite.
No? Or there's something that happens else?
This movie is important. I don't know what it is, but there's some inspirational moment happening in this movie. And it seems to really resonate with Johnny. There's like this voiceover with guys like, God doesn't give people things he doesn't want them to use. And then we get flashbacks to Johnny doing karate. Because clearly God has given Johnny karate and he must use it. And then the voiceover continues like, he gave you the touch. It's the power you have inside you down there where you keep your guts. And it's like, it's so 80s and real bad.
Oh, okay.
But then he flashbacks to like him beating up teens. Like that's some highlight of his life recently.
Yeah. I miss these flashbacks. I saw flashbacks when he was like drunk driving late in like the really soon.
Oh, there are a lot of flashbacks in this episode.
This movie he's watching, it looks like it's like some sort of knockoff of like Top Gun because they're like in airplanes or something. I don't know if this is a real movie or not.
I think it is. Because I feel like everything in this movie is a reference to something, whether it's Karate Kid or just the 80s. So I feel like it's got to be some 80s movie that matters to somebody.
Hmm. Okay. Were there any more flashbacks
Um,
in this scene?
no, well then just the last part of this, it's all you need to blast back in and take back what they took from you. And then after that it cuts to the commercial
Okay.
from Daniel's dealership.
I was not listening to the foreshadowing
Oh,
of
it
that
was so
movie.
dramatic. God has chosen Johnny for karate, and he must take back what he lost.
Jesus.
It's a huge motivational moment and turning point for Johnny in this show. But he gets real upset at Daniel existing and smashes his TV and grabs his keys to go drunk drive around the city like a hero. Is this the guy who's the hero of the show, really?
The show is about him.
I know.
It's the only, so like, I'm going to spoil the rest of this first 2 episodes a little bit.
Okay.
It's essentially an like identical rehash of the original movie, like the beginning of the original movie, except that we're getting like everyone's perspective and not just Daniel's, like, or not just like the main character, or yeah, whatever you want to call it. Like, you're not getting the original Daniel and Mr. Miyagi's point of view only. Like, you're getting the Johnny's point of view and Daniel's point of view and Miguel's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
So there's more angles to this, but overall the story is like pretty much the same. At least just for the first 2 episodes.
But also like Johnny is way worse than like just as a like, I don't know, like the original Karate Kid was underdog making his way through the world with karate or whatever until ultimately he wins the tournament, right? But here Johnny's the underdog, but he's also just really shitty. He's not a good person, and it makes it hard to root for him.
For these first 2 episodes, Johnny is like more of the Mr. Miyagi. Well, I guess we haven't got to that part yet, but he's kind of like the Mr. Miyagi role more than anything in this first 2 episodes, at least.
But like, for the most part, Mr. Miyagi had his shit together.
Yeah, we didn't get to see what Mr. Miyagi was like leading up to choosing to train Daniel. Mm-hmm. But yeah, where were we?
Johnny is drunk driving through the city, playing 80s music and having more flashbacks to the good times with his bros when they're riding motorbikes or whatever, and then to the bad times when Daniel's hitting on his girl and then kicking him in the face.
It's just another flashback of the like all the moments of the original movie, basically.
Yes.
And it has like silly stuff, like they flash back to him like getting kicked in the face, and then like they cut back to present time, and then Johnny's like doing like a face palm to his head as if he's like
reacting
reimagining getting kicked in the face again or something. Yeah. It's very weird. But this is where I wrote down, I guess the original Karate Kid movie is literally all Johnny thinks about. Like,
oh, yes.
For 34 years, this is the only thing he's thought about. He has
never moved past this karate tournament and this punk from Jersey who stole his girlfriend and ruined his life.
Yeah. And this is where I wrote down, like, there's no way this one minor event should have ruined his life.
Well, I guess all he really had was karate, and then he wasn't good enough at karate.
All he had was karate, and then he had 34 years to come up with something else and couldn't, I guess. Okay.
He didn't. That's because God chose him for karate, like the movie said.
And this is where I wrote down this was a new flashback, but you said this is just from the second movie. Yeah, this is from
the beginning of the second movie.
And actually, so like this, I would have liked to see this scene in the original in some capacity, but it's basically like the original Cobra Kai sensei, like choking out Johnny like after the tournament to like teach him a lesson for not winning, or like something like really terrible.
Johnny's like, I tried my best, and he's like, your best isn't good enough. And it's like real bad. It was clearly a very traumatic experience for him, which is also probably part of the reason he can't move on. Like, boy needs some therapy, but he's not gonna get it.
Yeah. I guess that's like the only explanation, is like the original sensei was just did so much mental damage to Johnny that he hasn't recovered in 34 years is the angle.
And it's easy to also continue to hate Daniel when he sees his like billboards and commercials everywhere, and he sees that he's doing real good, and he's gonna hold on to that bitterness for 34 years.
But then eventually he's gonna like park his car. I didn't really know where he was.
He
when
was
he
at
parked this car.
the All Valley Sports Arena because
Oh,
that's
he went back
where
to
he
like
lost the tournament.
like the building's still there.
Yeah. And so
Okay, I didn't pick up on that.
he halfway parks his car where it's kind of sticking out into the road, but this does not seem to be a road that gets a lot of traffic. And then he's just in the parking lot, just being drunk and annoyed at this building and thinking about the past.
And then some teenage girls are gonna crash their car into Johnny's car
Yup.
out of nowhere. Yeah, this was like the road was not busy at all wherever he parked this car. Like it seemed like he was on like some back road late at night. And then these girls just like they explained it by being like they were texting on their phone or something, but they straight up just like hit a parked car, even if this car was like a little bit in the street. Like it's
also
ridiculous.
Bright red. Like,
yeah, it's like ridiculous that you would have hit this car with no traffic. But they managed to.
And yeah, there's one specific girl that's like, I told you shouldn't be texting while you're driving. And they're all freaking out in the car. And then drunk Johnny is like, what the fuck? And he runs up to this car and starts banging on the window. And he's like, what are you doing? Open the door. It scares the absolute shit out of these girls.
Yeah. He seemed like he was like a serial killer or something.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's like demanding that they open the door. Yeah. So I don't blame these girls for
drive away from an accident, but I do not blame them at all.
Yeah, I don't blame these girls for driving away, but
yeah, so they just drive away, and then he can't start his car, even though they hit the back. So like it should probably still run, but it doesn't.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah.
So it also seems like it's pretty shitty all around. So maybe just the slightest nudge would have made it stop working. But he has to get his car towed.
Yeah. So the tow truck guy shows up. And Johnny's like, be careful, she's a classic. This car is not a valuable car, but he's like very attached to it. And then he's like, where do I have to pick up the car? And he's like, oh, it's on the piece of paper that I gave you. And then he like looks down at the piece of paper and it says Lorenzo Auto Group.
LaRusso Auto Group.
And I wrote in my notes, finally, here we go. Something's going to happen in the show. It's about to get spicy. Here we go.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get to the plot of the show, please.
So, like, the next day, I guess, Johnny shows up at this dealership wearing sunglasses with his hood up, looking sketchy as hell because he's just trying not to get noticed.
Yeah. He made it seem like Daniel has, like, multiple locations, but I guess he knew that Daniel, like, works at this one. I don't know.
I don't know if he knew or he was just like, I'm not taking
There's
any chances.
Chance that
I don't
Daniel's
want
actually
to
here.
see him. Yeah. And he goes in and he's like, I just need to pick up my car. And they're like, oh, it's not done yet. And he's like, I just need to take it anywhere else but here. And in the meanwhile, he hears a salesman in the back being like, oh, you guys just wait right a minute. Daniel's going to come out. He wants to talk to you. And he's like, fuck it, I got to leave. And he just starts booking it out of this dealership.
But of course, Daniel sees him.
Yep. And recognizes him from the back. And he's just like, Johnny? Good to see you. And I'm like, is it Daniel? Is it?
Why wouldn't it be?
I mean,
Daniel should have no beef with this guy. Well, I mean, he did back in the day, but
ugh.
well, you know, everybody's holding grudges in this. So who knows?
Even if you don't hold a grudge, like somebody who was shitty to you in high school, like,
but
if you have called out
if you
to him,
kicked that person's ass at some point, I think you'd get over it. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. But he just, like, the greeting was just like, oh, it's been so long. I haven't seen you. What's up? How is? Like, he was being overly friendly. And it was like, I don't know what's up with this, Daniel. I don't believe you.
Do you have more notes on this interaction? Because I only have one note on this interaction.
Is it that Daniel then calls in two of his salesmen to be like,
I didn't write that down, but yeah, that happened. Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, is this the guy whose ass you kicked in the tournament? And he's like, well, technically, I kicked him in the face. And I'm like, here it is. This is why Daniel wanted to talk to him, just to be smug at him.
I wrote down Daniel is also an asshole.
Yes.
Yeah. And I actually wrote down a second thing, and that's Daniel doesn't really look the same. Like, I don't know if I would have recognized that this was
really
Ralph Macchio.
Okay. Well, it has been 34 years, you know, people grow and change.
Yeah. I think Johnny is more the same than Daniel is.
That's fair. Yeah.
More recognizable. But yeah. So then after that, they have like an awkward interaction where like, no, stay. I'll look at your file or whatever. And then he like looks down. And this was a little weird. Like he was like, oh, the Pontiac or something. like, I don't know, he said like the manufacturer of the car or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then he like kind of like had a look at the list a little bit. And then he's gonna like first he's gonna like try to sell Johnny, like be like, hey, maybe you should just get a new car. I can
Because
get you
this
a good
one's
deal or
super
whatever.
old.
And Johnny, of course, has no interest in anything new.
Yeah. Or anything from Daniel.
Daniel can kind of tell, I guess, that Johnny's not doing well, so he like offers to pay for the damages, even though I think he says that the value of the car is like less than the cost of the like repairs that would be needed.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. So this car's like pretty done.
Yeah.
I think Johnny eventually does agree to let Daniel pay for the
At
the
first
damages,
he's like,
right?
I don't want your charity or whatever. And he's like, look, it's going to be so much more than it's worth. And he like actually shows him how much it's going to cost. And then he's like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Because like clearly Johnny does not have the money for this.
Yeah. So then their conversation's done, but then Daniel walks away, and then there's like a younger girl that he's like talking to, and it's like it's the girl that was in the car that hit Johnny's car.
She wasn't the one driving. She was the one saying, you shouldn't have been texting.
Yeah, she was in the back
I guess we're
seat.
supposed to like her or whatever. But turns out it's Daniel's daughter.
Yeah.
Was in the car.
Now, do you think Daniel like put two and two together? I guess it made it seem to me like somehow like his daughter might have told him about the accident, and then he saw that it was a Pontiac and like somehow figured out that it was, and that like the only reason he. You don't
100% she lied to him. 100% she didn't.
Yeah, I guess that's more likely. I was thinking that like Daniel was like only like he made it seem like he was doing him a favor, but then I was like, oh, maybe he's only doing it because he realized that his daughter is like responsible for the damages.
Oh no, I think he just saw that it was this really old car and that it wasn't in good shape, and like made some assumptions about Johnny and his current situation and went, oh, he can't afford this. I'm just gonna take care of it. Like he's trying to be a decent dude, but maybe also trying to rub it in his face a little bit. I'm not really sure. But I don't think his daughter told him what happened.
You're right. It's unlikely that the daughter would have said anything. But the daughter was not driving the car.
That's right. Her friend was.
It's something that Johnny should have realized and maybe not have let that contribute to his anger that's about to happen.
Johnny is not a reasonable man.
I know. Oh, the other thing, if we go back to the original movie, Johnny is from like the valley or whatever they call it.
He's from Encino, which is the rich section.
Yeah. So what? It seems so far-fetched that Johnny would be this poor.
Well, Johnny only had money because of his stepfather, who wasn't gonna. Like,
oh, they do explain it. Okay.
Yeah, and so like when Johnny failed to like get a decent job or whatever, he was left to his own devices, and that's why he's poor.
That's the point of that scene. Then I get it now.
Yeah.
I was like, how did Johnny get to this spot? Like,
but yeah, also in the first movie, like Daniel lived in Reseda, which is where Johnny lives now, and now Daniel lives in Encino, so they've completely swapped. You know?
Yeah, I didn't realize that, but I would have guessed that that's what happened. Yeah, I think this is where we might get like the Chicago Bulls music when Johnny he like sees the daughter and then it just like something clicks in his head and he's just enough is enough. And he's the Chicago Bulls theme song comes on and he just like walks out of the dealership.
Oh, he tries to, but Johnny makes him take a bonsai tree because he gives everyone a bonsai tree, or as he says it, a bonsai tree, which may be more accurate, but just makes him sound kind of like a twat. Yeah, he gives everybody a little tree who comes to his dealership.
Yeah, this is another, I don't know, this is like, it's too self-referencing to me. It's like, remember when I had a bonsai tree as my logo in that tournament, in that local tournament?
It's like Daniel got into karate and then made random, like, Japanese cultural things, like, his entire personality.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, Johnny's going to storm out. He's going to smash the bonsai tree on the ground on the way out. And he's going to open his own dojo.
Yeah, we're back at the dumpster where he met up with Miguel earlier. And he's like, are you ready? Because once you start, there's no turning back. And he's like, are you going to be my karate teacher? And he's like, no, I'm going to be your sensei. And it's dojo time.
And what do you think the name of this dojo is going to be, Sarah?
Well, you'd think that like he would choose an original like name that maybe wasn't copyrighted or problematic. Nope, it's Cobra Kai.
It's
'Cause
Cobra Kai.
Johnny lives in the past.
He is going to emulate the thing that caused him all his problems.
Yes.
Not on the right track here. End of episode 1. Oh my god, this guy.
Yeah. At this point, you gotta hope for a lot of personal growth on Johnny's end.
I guess.
And just keep
But
hoping.
that's what you want.
Or, I don't know.
Or you just root for him to fall deeper and deeper.
I guess that's
Screw this
true.
guy, man.
That's a fair position to take.
You want to jump right into episode 2?
Yeah, let's go for it. This starts with like a montage of Daniel's life, and the song playing is like "Ain't Love a Kick in the Head," which is just a little too on the nose for the guy that like his life is perfect now because he kicked Johnny in the head 34 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's these lyrics in there that's like, "How lucky can one guy be? And my life is gonna be beautiful." It's like, okay, a little over the top show. But he like wakes up in this amazing house next to his wife, and he's giving breakfast to his 2 kids that don't seem like they hate him at the moment. He's got some dumb espresso machine in his kitchen. Then they show him at work, showing up in a nice car and giving people bonsai trees. And at some point he's like fixing an engine, and oh hey, his wife works here too. And then he's driving on his way home, and he goes past that strip mall, and suddenly he sees the sign for Cobra Kai karate, and like his face drops, and he's just like, "Oh no!"
And then they hit like the opening credits or whatever.
Yes,
Yeah.
and he gets flashbacks again to like when he was getting beat up in school, and here's where Daniel is living in the past a little bit.
I liked this opening. It was pretty good. It was like
Yeah.
real fast. Like here's where Daniel's at. Yeah, all the
Everything's
tropey,
great.
yeah, all the tropey like quote unquote perfect life stuff you could think of. Like it was just in the montage.
Yep.
And then again, it's 34 years later. Like, why is this guy so devastated that there's a dojo called Cobra Kai in his like neighborhood now? Who cares?
Maybe he's got some strongest PTSD from getting his ass kicked in high school by a bunch of Cobra Kai guys.
He won. He was the victor in the end. I don't know.
I guess
It should bring back good memories. Like,
maybe
those suckers at Cobra Kai. They didn't know what was coming. And then we get back to the show after the credits, and it's the first day of Miguel's training in the dojo.
I love this. They're just staring at each other, and then like in silence, and then Miguel asks like, "So am I gonna get the karate pajamas too, or?"
Yeah.
And then Johnny just yells at him to be quiet, like way too loud and aggressive, because that's the Cobra Kai way.
Yeah. I like Miguel in this show.
Miguel's
He's like
great.
kind of there to like make fun of the whole situation. Like always, like that's the jokes that he gets the lines for. Like calling them pajamas instead of whatever you're supposed to call them. I forget.
I think it's a gi.
A gi, okay.
Yeah. And then like there's a bunch of like problematic shit that Johnny will say, and then Miguel is like, are you sure that's no, you're not supposed to say stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Johnny does not grow and change, but Miguel's trying.
Yeah. And basically like all the instructing that Johnny's gonna do right off the bat is like all the intense stuff that his old sensei used to say in the Cobra Kai dojo. So he's basically like full on copying his old sensei.
Oh yeah. He is reigniting the Cobra Kai way.
To the point where he just like randomly attacks Miguel like right off the bat as a lesson of be like, you always have to be ready or something. Like,
or just you always strike first.
Like didn't even teach him. Yeah. Like he didn't teach him anything yet, and he's already like grabbing him and flipping him over and stuff. Ridiculous.
And Miguel actually like he got hit pretty hard, so he like takes out an inhaler, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I have asthma," and he like throws the inhaler against the wall, and he's like, "Not anymore." Which is like literally true because Miguel's asthma never comes up again in the entire series.
Really?
So I guess Johnny is a miracle worker because he just fixed this child's lungs.
Yeah, he says something to Miguel like, "Don't tell me you believe in that all that bullshit like asthma and peanut allergies."
Yeah, he's like, "There's no room for that in this dojo."
This is Johnny just keeps getting worse and worse as this goes.
But he did heal his asthma, so I don't know.
I believe that. I feel like I had asthma as a kid at some point, at one point, and then I was just like, you know what? I've had enough of this.
You just needed a man to yell at you and throw your
No,
inhaler across the room.
I just got fed up with it myself.
Oh, you were the man that threw the
Yeah, I
inhaler
just said, you know
across
what?
the room.
I don't have asthma anymore.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Johnny's gonna tell Miguel to do push-ups on his knuckles, just like in the original movie.
Is that supposed to be harder?
Yeah, it like
Or-
because it like it's less like surface area or whatever. It hurts your hands
Ah.
more for sure. Miguel can't even do a normal push-up though. So
But is it like harder in a way that like makes you stronger, or is it just like uncomfortable and dumb?
I don't know. In fighting, you like I think a lot of times you're like building up your knuckle strength because like that's what you punch with. I know there's like
Well-
stuff with like strengthening the bones and stuff around your
Okay.
knuckles so that they like hit harder. I don't know if that's why they do. I think it's just like it's just a reference to the old movie,
Yeah.
and the old movie probably did it because it like seemed more badass or something. I don't know.
Yeah, like that's what I'm getting at. I think it's just this macho badass bullshit, and it's not actually useful. Okay.
I mean, it's a harder way to do push-ups for sure, but
Okay.
yeah. But Miguel, he can't even really do one push-up.
This is true. We were starting from zero with Miguel.
Yeah.
Miguel.
And I didn't realize about this until I rewatched it in the original movie. Like Daniel actually like had taken karate in New Jersey.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I guess he didn't have like a legitimate sensei like Mr. Miyagi, but like
Mm.
he wasn't completely like starting from scratch when Mr.
Ah,
Miyagi started
okay.
teaching him.
Interesting.
But Miguel is starting from scratch. So
Yes.
it's a little different. And then while Miguel's not doing his push-ups, the health inspector is going to come into the room, and he's going to tell Johnny that because he has an exercise studio, he needs a bunch of stuff apparently that he has to like pass codes and whatnot. And Johnny must have bought this building and invested all this money without having any idea that this was a
Mhm.
thing.
Yep. And this isn't even like, he's like, is this what I have to do to open a dojo? He's like, no, this is what you have to do to get the certificate to get the insurance to open the dojo. And I'm like, Johnny don't give a shit about insurance. I don't
Yeah.
believe he's gonna do this.
I was like, oh, okay, show's over. Johnny can't get through this wall for sure.
Yeah. And then the guy asks Miguel if he's a customer. And Johnny, then he's like, no, he's an illegal I picked up to help me
Yeah,
set
what
up.
the
And I'm like,
fuck?
Johnny, stop being a racist
Like,
piece of shit.
this
Like,
show is
be
just like
better.
the show just like does not want you to have any sympathy for this guy. Like
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy actually.
it is rough.
Like every hot topic there is, like Johnny's on the wrong side of that topic.
Yep,
Oh,
pretty
my
much.
God. All right, done with that scene, I think.
Yeah, then we cut to the Encino Oaks Country Club, where Daniel is hanging out at some sort of party at the pool with some of his family, at least. His son is just like playing a game on his tablet, and Daniel is trying real hard to get his son to do anything else. Spoiler alert, Daniel's son is just an absolute turd. Like, he's terrible. Like,
Oh, really?
nobody in Daniel's family likes this kid.
Really? Okay.
At least there is no scene in this show that ever makes it seem like anybody likes this kid. He's always like playing a video game and being an asshole is like his entire character.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, if everybody's stuck in the 80s, like nobody in the 80s would think that playing video games is like is worth your time or whatever, right?
Well, it's not just that. It's like he refuses to engage with anyone in any meaningful way.
I thought this was like Daniel's son's birthday party, and that like he was trying to get him to like be involved in the party because like it was a party for him. But
Oh, that
is
would have
that not
been
the
extra
case?
special. No, it's just a party at the country club.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's some like fancy rich people stuff
Yeah.
though.
Definitely.
So Daniel is upset about his son, and then he's going to be upset about his daughter. We find out is named Samantha. Is that correct?
Yes.
Because Samantha decided not to come to the rich fancy party
Mm-hmm.
because she wanted to hang out with her friends instead. Ooh, so
How dare she?
so yeah.
I don't know. From
Yeah.
this scene, I'm like,
Daniel-
Daniel seems like he doesn't like his family. Like,
Yeah, Daniel does not like his family.
or at least doesn't connect with his kids, I guess.
Is the wife anybody in this? Like, is she related
Um,
to the original series at all?
No.
Okay.
Because she is not
'Cause
Allie.
it's not Allie,
She's
yeah.
just some woman he met later.
Is Allie in all the first 3 movies? I don't even
I don't
remember.
think so because in the second one when he goes to Japan, there's definitely a girl like he hits on because she shows up in like the 3rd or 4th season of the show.
Okay.
So I think they had broken up by the time that had happened.
That makes sense. They were just in high school.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is like brand new wife character. We've never
Yes.
seen her. Okay.
And like I'm gonna say it now, I think she is the best member of the LaRusso family. The rest of them might
Well,
kind of suck a
she,
lot
like,
of the time.
She almost says nothing in this episode, so by
Well,
default
yeah.
she's the best.
But I mean, like over the course of the series, I like her. She is a voice of reason.
Actually, I didn't have any issue with the kids in this episode. By the time I was done watching this,
Well, that's
you're,
fair.
You're
I
saying
think, like,
they're bad later.
Well, like Anthony continues in this trope of just being kind of an asshole, and nobody ever enjoying spending any time with him. And Sam has her ups and downs. She becomes one of the primary characters in the show, and I don't know, sometimes she kind of sucks.
Yeah, I could see that Sam was going to be important in the show later.
Yeah.
Anything else from this party?
Basically, Daniel's just in a pissy mood because he saw that Cobra Kai sign, is really what it comes down to.
He's really hating on his kids, basically. Is this scene.
Yep.
And then we go back to the Cobra Kai dojo, I think.
And Johnny has Miguel wiping down mats. It's almost like Mr. Miyagi, but he's not actually trying to teach him any karate right now. He wants the free labor.
Yeah, they actually reference it because like Miguel's like, "Oh, is there any specific way you want me to be doing this?" And he's like, "Nah, just get it done." Like
He's like, I don't give a shit.
He gave him
Whatever.
a chance to like tell him, like
Yeah.
give him like some lesson, but he didn't do it.
And Miguel isn't just cleaning things. Like, Johnny's also like, hey, deal with those exposed wires, and then proceeds to just go into his little office and drink. Like, Johnny sucks.
This is basically what Mr. Miyagi did to Daniel, but without any intention of converting it into karate lessons later.
Yeah.
But this does need to get done in order to teach him karate eventually, because otherwise they're going to shut down his exercise studio.
But in this scene, Miguel sees Johnny's trophies because he brought them to the dojo, and he asks about him being a karate champion. And he's like, yeah, I won a couple All-Valley tournaments, and I didn't lose a single point my junior year. And he's just like, well, what happened your senior year? And he's just like, get back to work.
Yeah. The only thing I wrote down from this scene actually was just like, oh, we find out that Miguel also does not have a dad that takes care of him.
Yes.
So he's just like Daniel was in the original movie. And he lied to his mom and told her that he joined the debate team, and that's his excuse for being at the Cobra Kai dojo.
But what also I love about this scene is that Miguel's phone rings and some song plays, and Johnny seems so confused about, first of all, what kind of music it is, and also where the music is coming from.
Yeah, what is that? Does he not have a cell phone? Like, what is this?
He has like a little flip phone, I think, but this is a theme that comes up again and again throughout the whole series where like Johnny is so far in the 80s, he does not understand technology. Like, he doesn't know how the internet works. There is a part where he hears about somebody tweeting, and he's like, all right, we have to tweet for the dojo to get the word out there. Use those hash browns I heard about. And they're like, what are you talking about? And he does not know what hashtags are. And then there's a episode, I think of the second season, where he finally learns what the internet is, and he's on the internet, and it's just a montage of him Googling things like hot babes, wet t-shirt contest, like, because it is all new to him.
Okay.
So yeah, this is the first of Johnny doesn't know what technology is.
Yeah. Next scene.
Back at Daniel's house.
Oh, I actually didn't realize this was Daniel's house, but then you're gonna figure it out later. So it just looked like she was at like a high school party, like a pool party.
Well, she was. It was just at her own house.
Yeah, that we did. I didn't realize. And then we're gonna get like basically Samantha's friends. Not so much her, but her friends are basically like straight out of Mean Girls.
Oh yeah. The one who was driving is basically gives off Regina George vibes the whole time. And also the dude bros that Johnny beat up earlier are at this party.
Yeah, it's all coming together. Here we go.
And the lead dude bro, we find out his name is Kyler, and he's like, Sam and him are like connecting or whatever.
They're eye banging each other, Sarah.
Oh yeah,
That's what they said. That's what they said. Her friends said that told Samantha that Kyler was eye banging her from across the pool.
Yes, that is what the children said. But yeah, so Daniel comes home and like loses his shit over this party and kicks
Yeah.
everyone out. And apparently all the guys at this party did not bring their swim trunks because they're all wearing Daniels.
Daniel
And I'm
has
like, there are like 20 kids at this.
yeah.
How many pairs of swim trunks does this man have?
Yeah, he has like 20 pairs of swim trunks apparently.
And these are children of all sizes. I don't understand what this one size fit all infinite wardrobe of swim trunks is.
They have those ties on there, so like maybe it works. But like some of the heavier kids, like yeah, I don't know. But I wrote down like this is a pretty tame party. Like if you were like rich out of your mind and you had a swimming pool that, you know, you probably would appreciate people using your swimming pool, and you came home to like your kid was having like just like people over swimming in the pool. Like, I don't even think they were drinking alcohol here. Like,
yeah, they definitely weren't. And like, this is the mildest party in all of the show. Like, there are a lot of high school parties going forward, and this is nothing compared to
like,
that.
There was one guy who was doing like front flips into the pool that you could say, okay, that was dangerous. But like, like literally, like everything else was just like how adults would have a party at a pool party, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he like loses his mind and like kicks everybody out, like you said. So Daniel doesn't, I'm going to say he's, you know, probably not the best dad.
Yeah. But he has the like persona of looking like he's a better dad than, well, I mean, he is a better dad than Johnny because Johnny's not what his kid is. But still, like he looks like he might be a good dad.
Yeah. And I like really couldn't decide when I was watching this, like, okay, is the show telling me that like Daniel is a good guy, or like they want me to think he's good, like relative to Johnny, because they're really burying Johnny in the show, but like also Daniel doesn't seem that great either, but he's right, like they're showing me so much of Johnny that it seems like they're trying to convince me that Daniel is like still the good guy or something. Like I can't really tell.
I think it's like also because if you're coming in from the movies, you assume Daniel's going to be the good guy, right? Because you're used to that. And yeah, just the contrast between him and Johnny, even if Daniel's not great, he seems so much better than awful Johnny at this point.
Yeah. We're going to find out after he kicks everybody out. I think he's like talking to his wife again, maybe. And like he's like remembering the good old days. I think there's a flashback where like he's training Samantha how to do karate when she was little. So like I guess it's another like he's stuck in the past too thing. Like he wants his kids to be like karate champions as well, I guess.
Yeah.
And not because they're not, he hates them.
Well, I think he just doesn't connect with them is the thing right now. But like he's reminding her that like karate is only for self-defense, which is like gonna be a theme throughout the whole show. Like the big difference, like the
basically
big
the theme of Karate Kid, right?
Well, yeah.
Like every level, every source of Karate Kid needs that.
Yeah, his big beef with Johnny is always ends up being like that he is teaching the wrong kind of karate. That he is teaching this aggressive, scary karate instead of self-defense karate.
Yeah, which is fair. So like relatively, Daniel comes out as like in these first 2 episodes at least, like Daniel is still like the good guy character, even though most of the show is from Johnny's perspective at this point.
Yeah.
But then eventually Daniel's going to go talk to his daughter, and they like kind of make up and both admit that they may have been at fault for things. Right?
Yeah, he's trying.
I guess like Samantha didn't tell her dad about the party, which I guess that's like the only gripe that I would have with it. It's just pretty like, much. Hey, just tell me next time. But I would have like let the party continue, and then later been like, hey, just tell me you're gonna have people over next time.
Yeah.
So I know that there's people here when I get home. Like that.
Yes.
Yeah. Daniel's gonna find out about Kyler.
She says that they've been texting, not that they're dating, just that they've been texting.
And Daniel seems to know about technology a little bit.
Yeah. Because he's like, just words though, right? And it takes her a minute to figure out what he's talking about. And then she's like, yes, God damn it. Oh God. Just words.
Weird moment.
Yep. So then he says to invite Kyler over for their Friday family dinner. And I don't know. To me, it seems Like, they're just texting, they're not dating, right? So, like, why the big meet and greet family dinner? I don't know, but okay.
Yeah, I don't think my move as a parent would ever be like, it's gonna be my idea that you bring your like date for family dinner. Like I would just wait for the kid to ask if they wanted to do that, you know?
I think there's like probably value in meeting this person if they're dating, but they're like not even dating yet, unless this is just what the cool kids call dating now. They're just texting. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a little weird, for sure. But then this is new. This is new stuff. We're gonna go to Miguel in school.
Finally in school.
Finally, here we go. We got to get to the school stuff. And I actually forgot that he said he was like new. So I was like a little confused at first in this scene, but it's basically like the cliche like scene in the cafeteria where you get your lunch from a line and then like you look at the cafeteria and you're like, where should I sit? I'm the new kid, where should I sit? And then he ends up sitting next to, I guess, would you say these two guys are like nerd outcasts or like what would you describe them as?
And they call their table the nerd table at some
point.
Oh,
they do?
So,
I didn't catch that. Okay.
And it's two guys. It's Dimitri and Eli. And Eli happens to have a little scar on his lip. And he does not talk much.
Yeah, I don't think Eli said anything in this scene.
He does eventually, but it takes a little while.
Okay. And Dimitri's pretty funny though. He'll talk forever, and he's not shy to tell it how it is with all the cliques in the school and who's too cool to be friends with. He's got all the inside.
Yeah.
The Dimitri character is always fun in high school.
Yes. But then Sam and her friends come into lunch, and Miguel, like, Sam catches his eye, and Dimitri's like, those are the untouchable hot rich girls. Don't even try it. Like, it's not gonna go well. And at this point, the like Regina George kind of looks over at their table, and this is when Eli actually talks, and he's like, oh, she's probably making fun of me. Like, because he's really self-conscious about his lip.
I mean, they are making fun of them. Like, the Regina character is brutal.
Yeah, he's just like, they're probably not making fun of you. Just because they're hot doesn't mean they're mean. Cut to this woman going, oh, look at that guy who like went down on a lawnmower or whatever. His sweater's so ugly. And it's like, oh God, you're terrible.
Yeah.
But then like Sam's there and she's like, oh, that's so wrong. But she's still like laughing. So like, she's still kind of shitty, but like she's supposed to be the not shitty one.
Yeah. They let her have a look like she wasn't like really fully supportive of the comments happening, but yeah,
but not
enough
she didn't
stand up for
yeah.
them. Yeah. But Miguel decides, you know what? He's brave.
He's gonna strike
guy.
first. He's
strike
karate.
First. Okay, that's what it was. I was like, there was some sort of karate reason here for this, but he's like, I'm gonna strike first. So he's like, I'm gonna go talk to. It's Samantha specifically that he wants to talk to, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. And so he's like, I'm gonna go talk to her. So he gets up and he's like halfway there, and then Kyler sits down right next to Samantha, and he recognizes him immediately as the guy that beat him up at the mini mart. And Miguel just turns around and walks back to the other table.
Yep. And the dude bros notice him and like call after him using his diarrhea-based nickname they gave him. And yeah, it is not a successful first strike for poor Miguel.
Is Miguel gonna get beat up again by Kyler before like he learns karate? Is that a thing?
There's definitely more fighting. There's always more fighting.
There's always more fighting. Okay. Because like this situation, even if he had gone over, would not have escalated into a fight. I don't think it would have just been like them making fun of him. But
yeah, I think he definitely gets beat up once or twice after this before he like can karate at him.
Okay, so he does have like it kind of accelerated, but like I guess he does need to learn karate. And with that, all done with the school scene, unfortunately.
Yep. Back to the dojo.
And Johnny is teaching Miguel how to punch now.
Yeah.
And it is aggressive as hell. How he's teaching him how to punch. I mean, this is how you punch, right?
Yeah. Like I took Krav Maga for a little while, and like the punching through people is a thing.
Yeah, but it's the contrast of like Mr. Miyagi and Jackie Chan teaching, like they don't teach you how to punch until like you learn how to defend, basically.
Right. Like there is no defense in Cobra Kai karate, which seems like a poor idea. Like no matter how much you want to strike first and no mercy or whatever bullshit, like you do have to defend yourself at some point.
Yeah.
So while Miguel is practicing punching, with his thumb sticking out, which drives me crazy in his bad form. But anyway, Johnny gets a phone call from his son's vice principal. And immediately he's just like, you're supposed to call his mom. So like clearly Johnny has no interaction, no responsibility to this kid.
Not worried about whatever the news is going to be. He just wants to not deal with it.
Mm-hmm. But the vice principal says that they can't get to his mom. So he's like, all right, what did he do? And this was kind of funny because I expect Johnny to not know what technology is, but I expected him to know what drugs are. Because the vice principal is just like, they found him with Molly. And he's like, is that some chick he's hooking up with? She's like, no, it's drugs, Johnny. He's doing drugs.
Yeah.
And at this point, the vice principal puts Robbie on the phone. And Robbie just calls him a pathetic loser and hands the phone back. Like, clearly there is no relationship between the two of them that's any good.
There was no reason to call Johnny.
Yes.
Principal was just like, I think I'll try to reach his mom again.
Yes.
Johnny was not helpful in the slightest.
And the vice principal is just like taken aback at how poorly that went. She's like, oh God, okay. Call his mom again.
Yeah.
But then Johnny goes and gives Miguel like an angry pep talk to get him punching right. And this just feels like, oh, give in to the dark side, be angry.
I hope Miguel doesn't go to the dark side. I like Miguel.
I cannot confirm or deny anything about the rest of the show. I feel like I'm just spoiling all of it.
Okay. Yeah, so we cut over back to Daniel's house, and it's family dinner night on Friday. And Daniel is showing off some rich people food to Kyler, basically, is what's going on.
Yeah, he is slicing up some super fancy sashimi. And again, this is just Daniel being like, my entire personality is being obsessed with random Japanese culture things. Yay.
Yeah, that's true. And it has to be like expensive, so.
Yeah. And it's like important to note that Kyler appears to be of Asian descent. We have not like had any confirmation of like what his racial identity is, but
I didn't even think about that.
But yeah, so there's this like awkward moment where Kyler's like, I don't like sushi and fish is gross. And he's like, yeah, fish sticks are dope though. And Daniel's just like mortified by this. And
yeah, you know Daniel ate those fish sticks back in Jersey though. Come on.
Yes.
What is Daniel
100%.
saying?
But now Daniel's fancy. He's too good for fish sticks. But then his wife and Sam go to like see if they can find something that this kid can eat, which is just a weird excuse to leave the two of them alone to talk, basically.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought, but it was a little weird how they did it, so I wasn't sure if it was natural or not.
Well, like, I don't think, like, they were thinking, oh, let's leave them alone. It's just the show was like, get these two out of here, so that way we can just have that.
Gotcha, yeah. And they're just going to have the classic awkward conversation.
Like, Daniel's trying to relate to him. He's like, yeah, I didn't like sushi when I was younger either. And I'm like, it's sashimi, but okay, Daniel-san, sure. And of course he starts talking about Mr. Miyagi because he can't ever not talk about Mr. Miyagi. And this is the line that kills me. He's like, he was from Okinawa. Where are your parents from? And this kid's like, Irvine. It's like, oh, Daniel, come on, be better than this.
Oh, true, yeah. I did write a lot of the stuff down from the awkwardness of this conversation, but then eventually Daniel's going to notice, well, I think he noticed it earlier, but Kyler's had like a black eye or like a mark on his face ever since Johnny kicked him or punched him in the face earlier.
Yes. Which the timing, I don't know if that makes sense. Like Johnny was able to get this dojo up and running with signage already and this bruise hasn't left yet. But sure.
Well, he really hit him, I think.
That's true. Well, he kicked him in his goddamn face. Yeah. But yes.
But then Daniel's going to like use this to like try to bond with Daniel or bond with Kyler over the fact that like, hey, when I was a kid, I used to get in fights too. But like Kyler's trying to like deny that it was a fight at first, but then like eventually just admits it was. And then Kyler tells Daniel that some guy jumped me and my friends at the mini mall.
And he used like karate on us.
I guess that did happen, but he left out the part that made him look bad.
Well, of course, like you're not gonna go up to the dad of the girl you're texting and be like, yeah, I was beating up some poor kid and then this other guy came and beat me and my friends up.
He didn't mention that he was beating up the kid who's going to date his daughter after his daughter breaks up with him.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, right. Yeah. But then Daniel earlier, I thought like, okay, did he put together that the car that his daughter hit was Johnny's car? And then here he like quickly puts together that like, oh, that must have been Johnny who jumped you and your friends at the
Yeah,
mini
he's like,
mart.
which mini mall is it?
Because nobody else would be skilled enough to beat up a bunch of high school kids.
Or no one else would be dumb enough and
That's
terrible
true.
enough to beat
That's
up a
true.
bunch of high school kids.
I guess that's true.
But like, he doesn't even know that like Johnny is the person who opened Cobra Kai.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like he really jumps to conclusions here, and it's almost like disrespectful to Johnny in a way to assume that like the only person that could have done this was Johnny. Like, Jesus.
Well, maybe he didn't think it was Johnny. He just thought like, oh, whoever opened Cobra Kai, obviously an asshole.
Oh,
Obviously is the one that beat up these children.
I guess
I mean,
that's
he
true.
wasn't wrong, but still.
Yeah, because the next scene, I guess it's not right away, but eventually Daniel's gonna show up at the Cobra Kai dojo.
Yeah. And he like enters the dojo and his eyes are all just like, I can't believe this is happening.
Yeah.
And Johnny comes out to greet whoever came in the door and he's like, oh, it's you.
And these two, they do not know how to communicate with each other
not
at
at all.
all.
100%.
And they really just like both assume the worst of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, if you look at the situation, it's like, okay, Johnny beat up these kids, but he was at least coming to the defense of Miguel. And I think he does mention that at some point in this conversation.
Yeah.
But Daniel just like lets that part go like straight over his head.
Mm-hmm.
Because Johnny said something else like offensive in the same sentence, so he like focuses on that instead.
Well, yeah, like he comes in and he's like, I can't believe you beat up, these kids. And he's like, I didn't beat up any teenagers. I kicked the shit out of some assholes who deserved it. Like, he's super proud.
He doesn't look like he doesn't regret it, even though he was. You could argue he was doing a nice, a nice thing. Yeah.
But then so he's like, stay away from my daughter's friends. And then he's like, oh, that makes sense. I get it. She hangs out with assholes.
Yeah.
Like he does not.
This
he's not doing
escalates
anything
very quickly.
Yeah.
Like these two could be arguing over nothing, and they would probably just keep arguing about it.
Mm-hmm. Until it got into a fight. Yep. 100%.
Until the next regional tournament for over 50-year-olds. So Daniel leaves, and the rivalry is renewed.
Yes.
And that's the end of episode 2.
Yeah. So, did that leave you wanting more Cobra Kai?
I just don't know about this show, Sarah. Now, let me just say my thoughts on the first 2 episodes, and then we can discuss more.
Sure.
This show was a lot more funny to talk about than it was to watch.
Mm-hmm. I will note that the first time I watched this, I watched it with someone and we snarked the whole way through it.
Yeah.
And it was very enjoyable.
I think that at least for maybe the first season or however long it takes to get past this, like, all the characters you want to root for are kind of assholes. Like, it probably is way better to watch it with somebody who is also a fan of, like, Karate Kid and is willing to get through this part of the show.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote down, like, it's supposed to have comedy, but, like, almost all the jokes are, like, self-referencing to the old movie.
Yeah.
In, like, not necessarily a funny way. Like, the funniest jokes were Miguel, like, making fun of the old movie in a way, like, some of his jokes.
Mm-hmm.
But them, like, referencing, like, giving Johnny a chance to, like, teach him, like, a specific way to, like, wash the windows or something and then not doing it. Like, that didn't make me laugh, but it was like, okay, they're referencing. Like, I understood the reference, but it wasn't necessarily funny, you know?
And the other jokes are just Johnny being terrible.
Yeah,
and then us going, oh, look at how terrible and out of date he is.
Yeah, and some of those I did laugh at, like, when he's, like, he, like, calls the woman a bitch, and then he's, like, kicking these kids' ass. And it's just, like, ridiculous. Like, I did laugh a little bit at that, even watching it by myself. But yeah, like, I'm really not rooting for any of the characters at this point. Like, 2 episodes in, I'm not rooting for any of the characters. Other than Miguel.
I root for Miguel.
And I will say, like, if you want to talk about, like, the original Daniel, Dre in the Jackie Chan version, and Miguel, I think Miguel, so far in these first 2 episodes, is, like, the best version of, like, the kid character that is going to be trained.
Yeah.
Now, it's different because Miguel's going to be trained in Cobra Kai, not by Mr. Miyagi. So,
Yeah.
or Mr. Han. So I don't know where Miguel's going to go in the show, but hopefully he stays a likable character. And then I just really I really couldn't get over the fact this was like 34 years later and like Johnny and Daniel are just like so like living in the past, and
Yeah.
it really feels like they really don't have like a reason to hate each other anymore, but like for some reason they just like really want to hate each other.
Yeah. They just cannot let go.
This is like a classic version of like issue I have with dramas in general, where like it's
Mhm.
always like a trope that like the conflict in the show is just like two characters being like really unreasonable and like not communicating properly with each other is
Mhm.
like the so far like that is the conflict of the show.
In a lot of ways that continues, but then more things get added on top of
I'm
that.
hoping that this show like kind of moves past Johnny and Daniel at some point, and then it becomes like about Miguel and Samantha and Kyler and
It is.
maybe Johnny's son or something. I don't know. Like,
Oh yeah, Johnny's son is a big part of the show.
yeah, like I want to see not Johnny and Daniel anymore, honestly.
Oh, you will never get not them, but
Okay.
the kids are also a big part of it. And then if I'm going to like spoil everything, like there is a part where Johnny and Daniel need to team up and like
Okay,
teach
yeah.
kids together, and it becomes a whole thing. So like it evolves in a way, but there is always this core problem of them not being able to get along that runs through the entire show.
Okay. The fact that I know that this show like won Emmys at some point is like the only thing. Like if this was just a thing that came up on my Netflix queue and I
Mhm.
was like, "Oh, Karate Kid. I kind of liked Karate Kid. I'll watch this." And then I watched these first two episodes, like I don't think I'm continuing,
Mhm.
but like I know there's like some hope that this show turns itself around. Like I honestly don't think like you would have continued watching the show after two episodes, like if you didn't watch it with the person you were watching it with.
Yeah, that's true. We basically watched most of the first season in one sitting, just snarking at it the whole time.
Yeah, like I guess a ton of people watch the show. Like I don't see how you could watch this and be like, oh yeah, this show. Like
Yeah, I'm not
I
really
don't
like
know.
sure who this show is. Well, I know who this show is for. It's for people who really loved the Karate Kid back in the day,
Yeah,
right?
it's like for people like also like stuck in the past,
Yeah,
basically.
but it's like also making fun of things like with how terrible Johnny is. It's like, are you supposed to identify? I don't know who you're supposed to identify with as the person
Yeah.
who grew up loving Karate Kid. It's weird, but I do actually enjoy the show. Like I can watch it now without snarking the whole way through.
It has to be better now than these first two episodes. Like
Yeah.
the new stuff has to be better. There's no way like this. If this was the show, it's not winning any awards. It's not coming
Mhm.
close to win any
But like
awards.
I'm even surprised that it like it is so over the top and ridiculous at times that I'm just like, wait, is this a show? Like this is a show? I'm so confused.
I don't mind over the top ridiculous, but it's
Oh,
really just
well
like
then buckle in.
it's really just in these first two episodes, like it's just so the drama is so not believable and
Hmm.
it's just too silly and not in an entertaining way.
Yeah.
If this was like more of a comedy, was like less drama, more comedy, and it was over the top in these first episodes, then I think I would have liked it. But
Like I don't know that it's ever like I don't know that they wrote jokes. They wrote things that are situationally funny, but I
yeah,
find it weird that it is labeled as a comedy. But then again, like one of the kids gets a mohawk and insists on being called Hawk and gets a giant hawk tattoo and is the most ridiculous character I've ever seen. And it is funny, but they did not write jokes. So
okay, yeah.
it's weird.
There's like some level of satire to it, but yeah,
Yeah, and I'm never sure how committed the show is to that satire. Or if it is just like, oh yeah, badass, the 80s. Like the first two episodes have not done this so much, but in the rest of it, if you watched it and played a drinking game where you had to drink every time somebody said something was badass, you would be trashed real fast because it's just like badass. Oh man, badass. Let's go kick some ass. This is so cool, badass. It's like, okay, guys, calm down.
okay, I see. I don't know. I'd rather just sit down and rewatch the Jackie Chan Karate Kid movie than like
That's fair.
watch this. as it is so far. But I feel like it has to get better, but I don't know if this show gets better enough that I would really feel like happy that I watched like all 5 seasons of the show or whatever it's going to be. I don't know. I would need some convincing to keep watching this.
That's fair enough. I don't know that I'm gonna try that hard to convince you. It's okay. I kind of like this show. It is best when watched with someone you can snark about the show to.
Yeah, I would do that if I was like over your place with the like other people that also watch this. Like I could enjoy watching it with you guys, but
yeah,
I wouldn't be opposed to watching it. But I don't think I can sit down by myself and watch this show anymore. It's just it's so much of just like a rehash and self-referencing of a movie that I don't really think is good anymore. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I can't do it. Any other words on Cobra Kai
ridiculous.
and the Karate Kid Miyagi verse before we say move on to next time?
I think we said it all. It's a ridiculous ride, best when watched with people you can snark with.
Okay. All right. Next time, Sarah.
It's your turn.
It's my choice. I think I have something I'm leaning towards, but let me run through the things I've been thinking about because I'm not as there's no like show coming up that I really want to get to or anything like that. I just have things that we could do whenever.
Right.
So I have 2 movies that I don't believe you have seen.
What are those movies?
The first is The Man from Toronto, which is on Netflix that I watched recently, which is a Kevin Hart.
Right.
Kevin Hart is basically a like normal dude who gets caught up in a weird situation at a vacation house where they think he's this like master torturer guy who always gets people to give their secrets or whatever. And for whatever reason, he like is scared in the situation, so he just like goes along with it. And then like he gets caught up in this whole like FBI thing where like they thought he was like this serial killer guy or whatever, but then he when they find out it isn't him, they're like, oh, but you have to keep continuing to pretend that you're him for our case or whatever. So it's ridiculous, but it's a Kevin Hart movie.
Okay.
So it's funny. And then the other one is Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle.
Ooh, this is one I've not seen and have kind of wanted to see, but it's never like had the motivation to.
All you have to do is click play on this movie, and then you'll just have a good time. Another Kevin Hart movie, but also has The Rock, and it's a sequel to the old Jumanji movie.
Okay.
That I never thought to say this, but I guess it's also better than the original Jumanji movie.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I didn't even think that had to be said, but now that we're here,
I mean,
might
the
as well
original Jumanji movie is
good. I did really like the original Jumanji movie. That was like a movie we had on VHS or whatever.
I feel like you're just mad at it because somebody once said you looked like the kid in it.
Oh yeah. Somebody did say that to me. That somebody said to me when we watched it in school, like in 3rd grade, and then some waitress at a restaurant like couldn't not come over and tell me that I looked like the kid from Jumanji. Which I don't know if that still holds true. I feel like I might be old enough now that it's I don't look like them, but I'm not sure.
You might look like what they think that kid looks like.
Yeah, I guess so. But they really like they loaded the new Jumanji with stars. Like it's oh, it's funny that it's also a Robin Williams movie. Actually, now that I think about it, right?
Yeah. Between this and Aladdin,
yeah, it is Robin Williams. Okay, yeah, but they got for the new Jumanji, they got The Rock, and who's like The Rock is like the biggest name in like Hollywood. I feel like right now, like
okay, fair.
And then Kevin Hart and Jack Black, and
solid cast.
They also got Gamora's sister
Nebula from
from Guardians of the Galaxy and the Avengers movies. Yeah, I forget what the actress
Karen Gilliam.
Yes,
she was in Doctor Who.
That sounds right. Okay, there you go. Or we can do their anime, but I think I might want to consult with a third party on what anime to choose next. I don't have a specific one. Then there's the show Chad,
Ooh.
which I also really want to get you to watch, but I feel like it's like only on like tbs.com for free, and you might have to like have a cable subscription to be able to watch it. I don't really know what the deal with it is.
That's a bummer. I was looking forward to that one so that way I could finally watch the K-pop episode of
Yeah.
Chad.
I think what like sooner than later we're probably just going to watch it at wherever it is. But I was hoping that it would be easier to watch at some point. Or there's a new show that I got into this week.
Ooh.
Which is a documentary series called The Con.
The Con?
Which each episode is like, it's like an hour long on TV. It's on ABC. And each episode is like its own thing. There's no like overarching story from episode to episode. But each episode is like a con, like some big con that happened. And Whoopi Goldberg is the narrator. And they like basically go through like from the beginning of like whoever the con artist was and like what they did and who they targeted and why they targeted them and all this like crazy stuff that they did in order to like pull off whatever they were going for. And then also how it resolved and like how the FBI like finally figured it out, or whoever was investigating the issue or whatever.
Sounds pretty interesting.
I really got sucked into watching these. I've watched like I saw the first one I caught on TV was, I think it's in like the second season, and I caught one on TV that was like about this like woman who was really good at like graphic design, so she just like made a bunch of coupons for things and then like made like a ton of money off of coupons that she made. And then I've watched like 4 or 5 episodes of season 1 because I went back to the beginning. And 2 of them were like things that I remember happening and hearing about, like you know about Firefest.
Oh yeah.
One of the episodes is about Firefest.
Okay.
There's another episode about the Varsity Blues college scandal, which I heard about, but I didn't know all the details of it, so that was actually interesting to hear about. So yeah, those are all the things I was thinking about. Do you have a preference as to what we watch? I'm leaning towards doing The Con.
Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds super interesting to me.
Okay, it would be new because we haven't done any like documentary kind of stuff yet, and it was just kind of like hot on my mind because I've been watching it recently, so I wasn't sure if I was like overhyped for it. I wasn't sure if you'd be interested in it or not.
Oh no, I love like true crime stuff and like weird heisty con things sound cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of fictional drama, but drama based in reality. Drama? Yeah. Okay.
All right.
I think what we should do is not watch episode 1. Episode 1 is titled The Love Con. Each episode is like the whatever con. And it's weird. It's like about a guy who like got a woman to like fall in love with him, and then he like made all these like crazy promises because he was like some fancy doctor or something. He's like, oh, I'm the doctor for like the Clintons and the Obamas and the Pope. And so like he acted like he had like all these connections to people. And then he like somehow convinced this woman that like, despite that they were like both divorced and she wasn't even Catholic, that like he had convinced the Pope that like that the Pope was gonna like marry them. Like it's like insane the level that their relationship got to. And then it like goes south from there. But what's weird about it is that like this guy like wasn't scamming her for like money or anything. So it was like it was like literally a con of just like either they'd never figured out why he did it, or it was like literally just a con for like pleasure. Like he just had a good time doing it. Because he spent like a crap ton of money on like gifts for her and stuff, but he never got anything from her like monetarily. So it's a weird one where it is a con because he like lied to her, but he didn't like take anything from her other than like the time and emotion or like emotional trauma. Damage. Yeah, like he did emotional damage to her, but it wasn't like a monetary con.
Yeah, interesting.
So I think we'll probably just start with episode 2.
Okay.
Which is something that I think will be more interesting to talk about.
Sounds good. I'm in.
I might watch more episodes throughout the week, and if there's a better episode than episode 2, I might switch it up. Okay. Because it doesn't really matter what episode we watch.
Right.
So yeah, But as of right now, it would be episode 2 of The Con, which we can watch on abc.com, I believe.
I think it looks like it's also available on Hulu.
Oh, yeah, it is on
So-
Hulu, but I think it's only season 2.
Oh, bummer.
But maybe we could watch a season 2. I don't know.
Whatever.
We'll see. All right, cool. We'll talk about The Con next time.
I don't like it.
It'll be fun. I've already thought about things to like talk about relating to episode 2 as well. So
Nice.
most likely we will watch episode 2.
Cool. I'm looking forward to it.
Is there what's the question for the listeners?
Well, I was
this
just
week?
about to ask you. I have a question, which is, what's the question for the listeners this week?
All I have is like I just want to ask people what is the best Karate Kid movie? Movie
right.
specifically. So don't count Cobra Kai. That's not on the list.
All
And
right,
neither is
all
the
right.
animated series.
Oh, dang it.
So, and we're also going to start putting these questions out on Twitter, do a Twitter poll. So
Yes.
it's even easier to interact with us.
Yep.
I believe Twitter polls can have 5 options because there's 5
We'll
movies.
find out.
If not, we'll just change the question a little bit or remove some of the options to answer.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
But we can put Karate Kid, the original Karate Kid, part 1, part 2, part 3, the next Karate Kid, and then the 2010 Karate Kid. Those would be the 5 options. Which one is the best? You know where my vote is.
I feel like only 2 of those options are going to get any really votes.
You think so? Okay. I've never seen the next Karate Kid, so it's not totally fair, but I pretty confident that it's not better than the one I like. So I didn't check like Rotten Tomato scores. So let's check them. I'm gonna check them right now. Not that this is like the best way of telling if something's good. What do you think the Rotten Tomato scores for all the? I'm sure the Jackie Chan one's like the lowest.
Really? I think that one's going to be higher than the next Karate Kid. So I think it's going to be the first Karate Kid is going to be the highest. Then maybe the next Karate Kid, then Jackie Chan, then the other 2.
Okay, original Karate Kid, 89%.
Okay.
That is very high.
Yes, people love this movie. That's why they made Cobra Kai.
Yeah, you know, Rotten Tomatoes didn't exist. So it's just people going on here being like, oh, I remember that movie. Thumbs up. Or
Yeah, pretty much.
or whatever. That shit was fresh as hell when I watched it 34 years ago. Karate Kid 2, 44% already. Okay.
Yeah.
So people are already Karate Kid 3, 15%.
Ooh.
Not to be outdone by the next Karate Kid, 7%. Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And then the new Karate Kid, 66%. And Rotten Tomatoes existed when the new Karate Kid came out. So that's getting all the harsh critics. And it's still got a 66%. So
That's true.
it's fresh, but not certified fresh,
Oof.
according to I believe those are the Rotten Tomatoes icons.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, 66%. Pretty good. Pretty good
But
for a
forget
kid's
what
movie.
Rotten Tomatoes has to say. Tell us what you think is the best Karate Kid
Yeah,
movie.
we'll do our own percentages.
On our very official Twitter poll.
Super scientific.
Yes. Definitive answer to this question.
Okay, Sarah, where can people contact us with any other comments and questions, and they just want to talk more about their favorite Karate Kid movie? Where can they contact us?
Everybody can email us at keepwatchingpod@gmail.com. You can tweet at us at keepwatchingpod, Instagram at keepwatchingpod, or leave a comment on this video on YouTube at keepwatchingpod. And if you're enjoying the podcast, go ahead and please leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
Awesome. That's all we got. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye.
Bye.